Welcome back to episode 222 of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. My name is Josh. I'm here, Troy. I'm here with Baba Louie. We are not here with Phil.
No super show.
No super show today. It was supposed to be a super show. Got a call from Phil today. He's on a golf vacation. He's stranded on a golf vacation, which is kind of funny because it's a lot. Well, I guess not a bad place to be stranded, right? Some people get stranded at the airport. Some people get stranded at the border. Phil's stranded on a golf vacation. He's at Le Diable golf course in Tremblant, Canada.
So is that the Devil? The Devil golf course?
I don't know.
Diablo?
Now, I'm just going to read you the text that I got from him. He says, "This is where I am if you want a reference on air. Most Canadians know where I am. Fancy area and courses. Out of my price range, but it's paid for, so it's kind of cool. So it must be really hoity-toity."
Yeah, I looked it up. Golf Day Diable. Oh, it's okay. I was thinking Spanish. It's Lediable.
Is that devil in French?
I'm assuming. We're gonna go.
We have a producer to look that up. So Phil's not here. He ditched. That's all right though. Like I said, that sounds like a pretty good time. I am here with Troy though.
Yeah.
What's going on, Troy?
Not a whole lot. I did have some free time yesterday, so I did some work in the office, rearranged, added another shelving or whatever you call it, bookcase, basically. So I freed up some space. Don't have as much stuff scattered on the floor. And then today, son has a couple hockeys, and then tryouts are next week.
Ooh! So he's in double hockey days already.
Well, he's on a Sunday league that is just put together by parents that they want if the kids can go play a game with their friends. And then they had a ref, and the ref couldn't do it from halfway point of the season on to the end. So we had extra money because we planned for that ref to be there. So we had this extra money. So we just bought 2 hours of ice and said, nice. Just go at it and have fun, do shootouts, run through some tryout drills if you want. And then they still have their game at 6 tonight.
That's actually, I'm really happy to hear that because we structure our kids so much.
Oh, yeah.
So to give them a little bit of just free time on the ice to have fun, probably does a lot of good to do it that way. Baba Louie, what's new with you?
Not a whole lot. Had a little outing yesterday, came home, entered some cards into my little database, went to a softball tournament, and today I've been sitting in this chair for about 7 hours, entering more cards in.
Wow.
Yeah, real fun.
Very exciting life you have. Well, the three of us, we had a little adventure yesterday. We went to the Minnesota Card Show, which, there we go. It was at the River Center, which is connected to the Xcel Energy Center, where the Minnesota Wild play, of course. And this is kind of like our big card show. We have like a Minnesota monthly card show, and then there's, I don't know what they just call this the Minnesota Card Show. I'm a little confused on the branding at this point, but it went from an annual show to, I think now this is the second one in a year. So like every 6 months or so, I guess. And of course there's no hockey. There's we are the state of hockey, but we are pathetically the state of no hockey cards. It's so if you're looking at the picture right now, there's the whole right side, right? And there's 6 rows. I walked up and down. I started on the right side. I walked up, down for about half hour. Didn't see a hockey card because they were all kind of on the left side.
Yep.
There, and I was just flummoxed the whole time that we live in a state where we profess hockey to be the number one sport, and we have a pretty vibrant collecting community, and nobody gives two hoots about hockey cards here.
Yeah. Now, if you wanted to dive into the five hockey boxes, Troy, at this show, I mean, you literally could have been looking for hockey. You could have been in and out of there in under an hour.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. There were some tables, but maybe, I don't know, 5 maybe that had random hockey here and there. The only one in the far back left had legit 3 cases of hockey and like good hockey, like cup cards and they even had other stuff in their cases. So that was, or Zion cases and stuff. If you wanted to see that, that was the one area that had a bunch of hockey. One table, 3 showcases, and some pretty decent cards. There were other tables scattered around, but here and there. And while there was one guy, actually, I take this back. There's one guy had a really nice Wild selection.
Yeah.
He had maybe 2 cases full of Wild. So that was really cool too.
It wasn't like dead. That's not the right word. It just
weird.
seemed a little light, or what did you say?
It's just weird. It wasn't like for a lack of traffic. There was people there. Don't get me wrong. There was people. You can see on this picture if you're watching on YouTube. Definitely can walk around. So it's kind of my kind of thing. You're not wall to wall shoulders with people, but the vibe, the energy, there was like,
didn't feel the excitement in there.
Yeah, you walk into a card show and there's energy. You can kind of feel it. Nothing here. It was weird. It was like almost quiet. And even dealers were saying that. And then me and Louis are walking in, and I don't know, minute and a half. I said that to Louis. I'm like, it seems like something's like, there's just no energy. As I say that, 2 people going the other way. This guy's like telling his buddy the same exact thing. It was kind of weird, but we weren't the only ones to pick up on it. And obviously a friend of ours, Tori, who was there, kind of had the same recollection. It just seemed something was off.
Like an hour ago, I was sitting watching the Vikings play at the end of the game, and I was surfing through Instagram, and there's a couple card shows in Canada, and they just look packed, right? So I mean, I don't know what you would read into this. Maybe here in Minnesota, because September is kind of the really the nicest. It is the nicest month of the year here. I mean, that's my opinion, but
it's really dead for sports, right? There's nothing really going on. Vikings just started. Twins are losing their left and right, so I don't know.
So I don't know. I mean, hopefully today was a good day, and who knows? I mean, maybe we weren't there very long. We were there for 2 hours. It could have really picked up in the afternoon. But like, here's like the big takeaway for me in this whole deal, because I ended up we'll get you in personal pickups. I ended up with a card that I'm like just tickled that I found here. That is like really, really hard to find card, and from an era it's not like an ultra modern Young Guns or something like that. And so the lesson there for me is you just never know, right? You walk in, and I was Mr. Poopy Pants attitude as I was walking around for the first half hour. And it's like, I don't know if I could have found a card like this I'm sure I could have at the expo, but even if there's not like an abundance of things to go after, you might find that one really great card that I'm just very excited I found, and left pretty happy. So there you go.
All right.
Did want to mention one more thing before you get started, and I feel like we used to do this more. Maybe, Troy, are we just not appreciative anymore, or we take things for granted, or what's our problem? Because things around here on this show have been going incredible for really the last few months, and just wanted to take a second to thank everybody for your continued support of us, and kind of our mission here to hopefully bring entertainment and keep you a little bit engaged in the hobby, and give you, whether it's on your drive or while you're at work or walking the dog or whatever you're doing when you listen or watch our show, make your life a little bit more pleasurable and your hobby experience a little bit more enjoyable, maybe learn something here or there. And we get so many good comments. Our audience is growing still, which amazes me. And I just wanted to say thanks. That we every kind word we see, we hear, and it actually means a lot, because this show is not super easy to make, and a lot of late nights and early mornings, and when we get feedback from you guys, it puts juice in our batteries to keep going. So I just wanted to say thanks. Anything you want to add to that, Troy, or are you more cynical and hate everybody?
No, it is crazy. It was amazing. Ever since the first show, it's just been crazy. So again, thank you very much, everyone, for supporting us, for all the feedback, positive, negative. It all helps us get better. Yeah,
it's all good. All right, really quickly before we get to the game plan, just a reminder: the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a Patreon podcast. You can support us via Patreon for as little as $5 a month. Be one of our first 199 supporters. You get exclusive access to our Discord server. Participate in 5K challenge, which is coming up. Talk with the hockey community. We have fantasy hockey leagues starting soon, so if you want to join that. I believe that, we're kind of the commish Neil is Irish Flyers collector is kind of working on getting that all set up right now and really supporting us. Does a lot of things. Number one, helps us cover our expenses to produce our show, helps us to fund initiatives that a lot of which are underway right now to, maybe connect the hockey hobby to the NHL a little bit more, have better content for you guys, and then some initiatives that we're working on to grow the hobby as well. To support us, you can go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, click on the Become a Patron link at the top of the page. You can go to our you can go to Patreon's website directly, patreon.com, and just search for Hockey Cards Gong Show. If you're listening to us on a podcast app or watching on YouTube, there's a link in the description, and then also on our Instagram and TikTok profile, there's links there too. And we kind of, many shows in a row now, we've had multiple people that have been gracious and kind and have chosen to support us. So we want to acknowledge them real quick. So thank you to Justin for joining our on a 199, Duster Donnybrook on a 199, and Quam for he upgraded from 99 to triple gold, which is amazing. Whew.
Hey Troy, are you ready for the Gong Show? You're on mute, buddy. Still on mute, Troy. Hey Troy, are you ready?
We're going to do it twice. We liked it so much.
I enjoyed it so much. And, as much as our show maybe evolves or get better, some things never change. And at least once a show, you can count on Troy being on mute. All right, buddy, you ready at the game plan?
All right. We begin today's show with the almost greatest NHL player to wear number 22. Then it's off to Hobby Mount Rushmore. And this time we are looking at the Tampa Bay Lightning. Next is Hobby News. We then had the honor and privilege to be joined by hockey insider, journalist, and collector Russ Cohen to talk about the upcoming NHL season and some rookies to watch out for. We also look at a couple of players that maybe are a little overhyped. Stay tuned. We end the show with new product releases, the Gongshow Mailbag, and any personal pickups. Okay, fellas. Previously, we looked at the greatest NHL player that wore the number that matched our episode number. We ran through all the numbers, so we are now looking at the almost greatest NHL player to wear each number from the runners-up in the Hockey Writers' greatest NHL player to wear each number article. The almost greatest NHL player to wear number 22 per the nominees in the Hockey Writers' greatest NHL player to wear each number article, and selected by me is a guy we've heard of, Josh, Daniel Sedin.
Yep.
Of the Vancouver Canucks, the hated Vancouver Canucks, I guess, for the while. There was a rivalry for them for a little bit. I don't know how it is anymore, but great player. I was kind of surprised he was. I didn't know 22 that well, but he was definitely on the runners-up list. So the other runners-up at number 22 are Rick Tocchet and Dino Ciccarelli. So now I know what happened with Dino, because I was lamenting he wasn't on the number 20 almost greatest list by the Hockey Writers, but they threw him at number 22, which makes sense because he did wear 22 for longer than 20. But the other one, Rick Tocchet, I went with Daniel Sedin as the almost greatest to wear number 22. The greatest to wear number 22 was Mike Bossy. So I think we have no question there at 22 who the greatest is. For our boy, Daniel Sedin, he's a left winger from, guess what, Josh? The same place as Peter Forsberg, which I still can't say. I didn't work on it. Örnsköldsvik, Sweden is what I'm going with. It's probably wrong, but that's where he is from. So we had two, same city twice in a row. Daniel Sedin was drafted second overall in the 1999 NHL entry draft by the Vancouver Canucks. Daniel Sedin played in 1,306 regular season NHL games over a 17-season NHL career. I'm saying his full name just because if someone listens and they think I'm thinking about Henrik Sedin, I would feel bad. Yeah. Daniel Sedin played all 17 seasons of his NHL career with the Vancouver Canucks. For his awards and accomplishments, he's a Hall of Famer. One-time Art Ross winner, one-time Ted Lindsay winner, one-time King Clancy winner, one-time NHL first All-Star team selection, one-time NHL second All-Star team selection, three-time NHL All-Star game selection. Daniel Sedin's number 22 was retired by Vancouver on February 12th, 2020. For his career, 393 goals, 648 assists for 1,041 points. Daniel Sedin made the playoffs in 11 of his 17 NHL seasons, compiling 25 goals, 46 assists for 71 points in 102 NHL playoff games played. Best regular season of Daniel Sedin's NHL career from a point standpoint was his 2010-11 season, where Daniel Sedin had 41 goals, 63 assists for 104 points in 82 games played with the Canucks. Okay, Daniel Sedin was known as mainly a goal scorer, often finishing plays set up by his brother, Henrik Sedin. The two brothers were a force on the ice as they were able to find each other and just had that special knack where they seemed to know where each other was on the ice at all times. During the early part of his career, Daniel and also Henrik were known for being easily pushed off the puck and lacking a physical component to their game. However, Daniel worked on his strength, which helped improve his puck possession and allowed him to play more physically. Overall, Daniel Sedin was a very effective goal scorer and point producer. He had 11 seasons of 20 or more goals and 11 seasons of 50 or more points. After retiring, you wouldn't know if this was Daniel or Henrik. They dang near look identical, except for the hairline. You got to look at the hairline. That's what I found is the tell. After retiring, Daniel Sedin joined the Vancouver Canucks front office as a special advisor to the general manager. There's one of our favorite roles. Then on May 3rd, 2022, Daniel Sedin took a new role in player development, specifically working daily on and off the ice with younger players in Vancouver and Abbotsford. Currently, Daniel Sedin is still in player development with Vancouver. All right, Josh. You know, just like Daniel Sedin, I feel that overview was almost a little boring at times, but I feel like it fits him as a player. Now, for his fun, interesting facts, we just got to start with this. It is absolutely weird and crazy how intertwined Daniel and his brother Henrik were during their NHL career, maybe their whole lives. I don't know. I feel like they could almost be the same person. It's really weird. So let's go over some things. Daniel was selected 2nd overall, and Henrik was selected 3rd overall in the 1999 NHL entry draft.
Okay. Now, while you were talking, I was all confused about this.
Yeah.
And so I was, how did Vancouver have the 2nd and 3rd pick?
So they had, I believe, did they have the 3rd pick locked in already based on the season? And then they made a trade to get the 2nd pick. You can read about it. I'm not going to explain it very well, but there was a whole bunch of drama going on behind the scenes where the Sedins said they wanted to play together. Like they wanted to be drafted by the same NHL team. And then they entered the draft, though, thinking they weren't going to be drafted together. But I think it was Brian Burke with Vancouver kind of was making moves behind the scenes. And he's whoever the GM of Vancouver was, I think it was Burke, ended up with getting that 2nd overall pick, traded for it. And by kind of, who knows, there sounds like some rumors are being spread that they weren't going to sign if they didn't get drafted together. So that made the team at number 2 more eager to move. I can't remember who it was, but yeah, that's how they ended up. I mean, the GM for Vancouver made it happen.
How risky is that though? Because it's risky enough to have the 2nd overall pick or 3rd overall pick and whiff on it.
Yeah.
If you whiff on this, holy moly, that's bad.
Yeah. Well, actually, so they got drafted and they actually went back to Sweden and played another year in Modo. They didn't come over right away. So they went back and played another year. So that was our first thing. You know, they're drafted 2 and 3. Second thing, both Sedins played their entire 17-season careers with the Canucks, with both retiring on the same day, April 7, 2018. Both Sedins were awarded the 2018 King Clancy Award for leadership qualities on and off the ice and humanitarian contributions in their community. This was the first time the King Clancy Award has been given to 2 players in the same year. Both Sedin's numbers were retired on the same day, February 12, 2020. After their careers, they both have held the same exact role in the Canucks organization. Both brothers were inducted in the Hockey Hall of Fame in the same class. And if you look at their contracts, they have signed identical contracts every year, or every time they've had a contract extension or signed a contract.
Wow.
It's been identical for both brothers. Now go back to their childhood. They're identical twins, played on the same exact teams, did everything together. Do you think at some point one of them's just like, maybe I need to get away from you, but I guess it worked out, man. They didn't win a cup. That's their Daniel Sedin, since we're doing him. He never won a cup. That's what he doesn't have. But it is pretty crazy how their careers are just the same thing. They're so intertwined.
Do you have an opinion of which one is the better hockey player?
So here's the deal. If you look at their stats, they're almost games played and points are nearly identical. I think there's a separation by 30, 35. Daniel Sedin was the better scorer. Henrik Sedin was the better playmaker. So Daniel has more goals. Henrik has more assists. But what do you want? Do you want playmaking or scoring ability? I mean, they're like the same player on the ice. Just one scores and the other does all the playmaking and gets the other one the puck.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Daniel Sedin is the all-time leading goal scorer in Canucks history with 393. Daniel Sedin is second all-time in assists for the Canucks, with his brother Henrik holding the top spot. Daniel Sedin is second all-time in points for the Canucks, again with his brother Henrik holding the top spot. Finally, during the 2003-04 season, Daniel Sedin was a member of the mattress line with his brother Henrik and Jason King. Now, Josh, can you figure out why they were called the mattress line? It's kind of weird, but it's funny.
Nothing's coming up that.
All right.
Mattress King.
You're getting there. You're getting there.
Double king.
You're close. Two twins and a king, or twins and a king. So that's why they were called the mattress line. I thought it was funny. I think
That's kind of funny.
I have a new thing for these lines names, even though they only played together. I think half of one season because Jason King, I got sent to the AHL, I think, during that season, but still fun to look at. Okay. Daniel Sedin, his rookie card. This is another candidate for our no young guns card. So we need to upper deck when you figure out how to do that, where you get these like young guns that should have been. This is a guy for that.
A lot of the Swedes have been robbed with their rookie, like
and they always got the they always got the Swedish jersey of these cards.
What's the whole thing with the Three Crowns too? Do you know the story? I mean, you played hockey there, so you probably.
Well, I did, but I don't know what the whole Three Crowns thing is. I thought it just looked cool, but I'm sure it's significant. Cool. Probably 3 dynasties or something. Who knows? All right, so 1997 Upper Deck Black Diamond, number 114. This is his rookie card. So we'll go with the single diamond version, as that one has the most graded copies. However, you can also find double diamond, triple diamond, and quadruple diamond versions of the card. Obviously, it's hard to see on this picture if you're looking at YouTube, but on the bottom right, you can see a single diamond, and there'll be 2, 3, or 4 diamonds. That's how you know which one you have. For the single diamond version, PSA 10 pop is 42 with a gem rate of 12%. Most recent sale of this card on May 8th, 2024 via eBay, verified in Terapeak, was $202.50 US, which I guess was more than I would have thought. I thought this was going to be one of those guys that falls into our no one cares, but seems like some people care. But again, low pop helps that. So there we go. Our boy, Daniel Sedin, the almost greatest, to our number 22.
One more left, Troy. Big day on next Thursday's show.
Yeah. Oh, breaking news. The team's nickname, Trey Cronor, meaning 3 crowns, refers to the emblem on the team jersey. That is via producer Louis in the background. So thank you, Louis.
Okay. But what do the 3 crowns mean, though? There has to be some significance there.
Trey
Louis,
Cronor,
incomplete on your homework.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay. Well, good job. Yeah, like I said, Trey, you got one more left. So a big day on Thursday. It's going to be very emotional. I'm sure Louis will.
I think it's like it's not a dud player, but it's like
that would be fitting, right?
Hold on, I'm not gonna break it, but I'll look it up while you're talking in case it's like someone really good, and I'm like, hey.
All right, while you're saying that, so Louis did do some more homework. He said the emblem on the Swedish team's national jersey with the 3 crowns is often used as a symbol of official state authority by the monarchy, the Riksdag, and the government of Sweden, and by Swedish embassies. Is that what you mean, Louis?
Oh, no, 23 is a good player. Never mind.
Okay. All right. Well, we're ready to move on to Hobby Mount Rushmore. Back for another edition. Last week's task of nominating the Toronto Maple Leafs was so mind-bending. It almost made me quit this whole thing, like for real.
Nice.
I did not have fun, but we're not quitters here. So we got back on the horse, right? This week we're navigating to the center of the Bermuda Triangle of Hobby Abyss.
Yeah.
Yes, the other Florida team, the Tampa Bay Lightning. So we'll have now covered both Florida teams. Remember, our goal here is to find the 4 best examples from the Lightning franchise who accomplish great things for their team on the ice, mean a lot to the fans and community, and then have good or great hobby markets. So are we ready? Troy, you ready to
Ready.
do
Let's
Tampa
do it.
Bay Lightning?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I've been messing around with the formats a little bit on these. We're going to do a little bit different. So we're going to go with kind of the 3 ones that I felt were sort of locks. And then we're going to debate the 4th and final spot. So the first one might hurt a little bit for Lightning fans, Troy.
Yeah.
Is it too soon for Steven Stamkos? Too soon? It's really impossible, though, to leave him off of the Tampa Bay Hobby Mount Rushmore.
No.
The new Nashville Predator is the Lightning's franchise leader in just about every meaningful category, Troy. From games played with 1,082, although Victor Hedman will probably pass him this season.
Yep.
In goals of 555 and points with 1,137. And he's second in franchise history in assists with 582. Finished just 6 behind Martin St. Louis. He was a Lightning captain for 10 straight seasons, longest serving captain in franchise history. A 2-time Rocket Richard Trophy winner. 2-time Stanley Cup champion. 2-time NHL second All-Star team, or named to the NHL second All-Star team. Played in 7 All-Star games. Arguably with St. Louis, the franchise's greatest all-time player. And despite not getting the Austin Matthews or Connor McDavid hobby chases, he is probably the franchise's biggest hobby chase nonetheless. So looking at like per card ladder sales history, 5,027 Stamkos cards have been purchased on the secondary markets so far in 2024. That includes 22 sales of at least $500 US. The all-time highest selling Steven Stamkos card is his 2008 The Cup RPA at a 99, BGS 8.510, sold for $17,501 US via the Fanatics Vault in July 2021. So the first Lightning nominee to their Hobby Mount Rushmore is Steven Stamkos. Anyone have any issues with Stammer taking one of the 4 spots? I'm going to bring Louis back for this. Any issues with Stammer, Louis? Or...
No, he's got to be there.
Okay. So Predators legend Steven Stamkos gets the first spot on the Tampa Bay Lightning Hobby Mount Rushmore. Number 2, the Big Cat, Andrei Vasilevsky.
Yep.
Now, when it comes to tendies, the Big Cat pretty much owns Tampa Bay record books, and it's not even really close.
Yeah, I was going to say he should own every single record, even like the bad ones, because he's played there for so long.
Mm-hmm. Vasilevsky has played all 10 of his NHL seasons for the Lightning. He's a franchise's all-time leader in games played with 477, 250 games ahead of number 2, which would be Ben Bishop.
Ben Bishop.
Naturally, then he's the franchise's all-time leader in wins of 293, more than double than Bishop again. He's third all-time in goals against, 256, 2.56. Second in save percentage, 0.917. Also, the Lightning's most accomplished goalie with a Vezina trophy in 2019, 2 NHL first All-Star team selections. He won the Conn Smythe trophy in 2021. And he also won 2 Stanley Cups. Plus, he's got a pretty decent hobby market too. Year to date, 3,600 Big Cat cards have sold on the secondary markets per card ladder sales history. 13 of those sales have been for more than $500 US. The all-time highest publicly selling Vasilevsky card is this 2014 The Cup Gold RPA of 10 that sold for $4,200 US back in December 2021. You got that one, Troy?
Oh, sorry. I was spaced out because I was thinking about, the thing that you said that kind of shocked me was he's only won the Vezina once. And he's finished 3rd, 1st, 3rd, 2nd, 5th, 6th. So he's been in the running almost, 6 of his or 7 of his 10 seasons that he's been in the NHL.
Well, we've looked at this up before. There's not too many active goalies with multiple Vezinas.
Yeah.
Like Flower and Who else?
Someone that we should know, but I'm forgetting because you put me on the spot.
Louis Cohen. Okay. So anyone have any issues with Big Cat? Are we doing good so far?
No, and this goes to also that we always say we want a goalie on Mount Rushmore. Well, this one actually is deserved. He should be on their Mount Rushmore.
100%.
Stamkos and Vazzy are locks for sure. They're like 100% locks.
Well, Troy's going to be incredibly happy because the third player we're nominating to the Gongshow Tampa Bay Lightning Hobby Mount Rushmore is his favorite defenseman, Nikita Kucherov.
Oh my gosh! And my favorite D-man, he doesn't even care that he's on Mount Rushmore. If we send him an award, it would go immediately in the trash. Yes, I know he's not a defenseman. It's an old joke. Go back to like episode 5. I don't know.
No, it's like episode 2. It's like an episode. It's an inside joke from 220 shows ago. Like,
Yeah, some people get it.
Sometimes people go back to the well hundreds of times. And then that's, of course, us on the show.
Yes.
Kucherov has played 725 games with the Lightning, which is 6th all time. 320 goals with the franchise, good enough for 4th all time. He's 4th in assists with 553, putting him at, you guessed it, 4th on the Lightning's career scoring list with 873 points. He's just 1 point behind Vincent Lecavalier for 3rd all time. So probably a given, unless something really bad happened.
He can stay with them, he will hold every record, and still no one will care. I'm convinced, him. Even him. I'm convinced he's the leader of the nobody cares list.
Yeah, there we go. 2-time Stanley Cup champion, 2-time Art Ross winner in 2019, and this past season, 2024, won the Hart Trophy and Ted Lindsay Award in 2019. 3-time NHL First Team All-Star, 2-time Second Team All-Star. His 100 assists this past season is the most assists ever by a winger in a single season. His 144 points this past season is the most ever in a single season by a Russian-born player. And as a Florida Bermuda Triangle athlete, Kucherov actually has somewhat of a decent hobby market per that category. I guess I would say year to date, 3,326 Kucherov cards have sold on the secondary markets. 46 of those sales have been for 500 US or more. All time. Well, actually, I want to stop.
Oh.
His accomplishments are crazy.
He's a guaranteed first ballot Hall of Famer. It's amazing how good he is.
And how accomplished he is, too. Yes. It's not just good. And the fact that, again, relative to a lot of the players that we're going to go through in this whole hobby Mount Rushmore exercise, he sells a decent amount of cards. But his stats are up there with Austin Matthews and the McDavids and Dreisaitl's. And, he's competing in the same realm of these guys and is on a whole different plane, though, when it comes to the hobby. Which that goes back to Troy Tier, nobody cares sort of deal. Okay, now the all-time high public sale for a Nikita Kucherov card is this 2015 Upper Deck buybacks of his 2013 Young Guns. It's a gold ink auto out of 25, PSA 10. So for $3,375 US in February of 2022.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think these first 3 are pretty much no-brainers.
Yep. Yeah.
Anyone disagree with that?
Kucherov's my 99.9% guy because some people will be mad that sometimes he's just flippant. We'll just call it that. And that's his choice. He has a right to be.
Well, there's the whole All-Star game this thing too. That was kind of funny.
I still look. I will think about that randomly at times and just start cracking up because he's just out there just lollygagging around. Oh, it's fantastic.
And again, after the whole, I tied myself up in all mental knots over the Maple Leafs. It was kind of refreshing to start this. It's like, oh yeah, it's like everything's makes sense and falls into order. But after Stammer, Big Cat, and Kucherov, it did get a little tricky.
All right.
And again, since there's no value in the order which we put these guys, again, it doesn't, just because Stammer is first, it doesn't mean that he's the greatest of all time or anything like that. I wanted to save the last 2 considerations for the final spot. And that'd be Martin St. Louis and Vincent Lecavalier.
Okay.
This is one I didn't like it. It sort of got a little bit of Leafs PTSD. And so I thought, I'm going to switch up the format a little bit again, and we're going to do sort of a face-off, right? here, and you guys will help me decide. Even though I do think it's pretty clear at the end, but we'll go through it regardless.
All right.
So when you consider games played at the Lightning, St. Louis has 972 games, fourth all time. Le Cavier, 1,037, third all time.
Okay.
So
Important, but not that important.
Edge to Le Cavier. Now looking at goals, St. Louis, 365, third all time. Le Cavier, 383, second all time.
Okay.
So again, edge to Vincent. Points. St. Louis, 953, second all time. Again, these are for the franchise. Le Cavier, 874, third all time. So now we got a little bit of edge to St. Louis. Now we got to go through the accomplishments list. So Martin St. Louis, Stanley Cup champion in 2004, Hart Memorial Trophy winner in 2004, two-time Art Ross Trophy winner, one-time NHL First Team All-Star, four-time NHL Second Team All-Star, three-time Lady Byng winner, one-time Lester B. Pearson Award winner, member of the Hockey Hall of Fame. I believe his jersey is retired by the Tampa Bay Lightning as well. Then you got Le Cavier, first overall draft pick in 1998, really the franchise's first superstar player. Stanley Cup champion 2004, two-time Lightning captain 2000 to 2001, and then 2008 to 2013. One-time Rocket Richard Trophy winner 2007. One-time NHL Second Team All-Star. One King Clancy Memorial Trophy winner. One time there. Not in the Hockey Hall of Fame though.
Is he an enemy of Lanny McDonald? Have we researched that? Does Lanny not like him? Because
maybe he's friends with I don't know. Yeah.
Lanny holds grudges.
So
are Lanny and Torts friends?
In accomplishments, I feel like there's a distinctive edge to Martin St. Louis.
Do you think St. Louis was nicer? I want to get in their personalities.
I don't know. So overall, where do you give the edge so far? Like in going through stats and accomplishments.
So I'll tell you one thing. When I originally saw, when I saw that we're doing Tampa Bay, obviously the first three, and this was the one I thought of for the fourth. I don't know. You'll probably get into the other guys you might have looked at, but it's not a long list. But like Hedman might have been the other guy I was thinking of, but St. Louis was the one I thought of. Now I'll say for Vincent Le Cavier, I randomly read this week that Don Cherry considers him one of the greatest players to play. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
What about you, Louis? Where do you give the edge so far?
I don't know. I can't. This is such a hard one. Honestly, I don't know. Let's get on the other stuff.
Well, you got St. Louis though, who's got the Hart Trophy and two-time Art Ross Trophy versus one. So we're talking like major awards and secondary awards. I'm not trying to
sway me
who the little ones, but I think that St. Louis has a little bit of an edge there. He is in the Hall of Fame. Le Cavier is not, and yeah.
So, do you know they both work for the Canadians? St. Louis is the head coach, and Le Cavier is a special advisor.
Probably hired by.
That
probably was hired, so they must be friends.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go St. Louis for now.
But it's close, right? And so now we got to look at the hobby market.
Yep.
And again, this is the hobby Mount Rushmore, so it's going to be a big factor into it. So first we'll look at his total cards sold year to date. St. Louis. Now this is a nightmare.
Yes.
To figure this out, and you're probably thinking, well, how? Card like a sales history or eBay or there are search engines, and you use Boolean logic. And the problem with Martin St. Louis is it's the same spelling as Martin St. Louis. So any guy named Martin who played on any team in St. Louis is going to come up in a search result for Martin St. Louis. So I would use like Boolean, like the minus thing, and I tried to get anyone that played for the Cardinals or the Rams when they were in St. Louis, or the NBA team, the Hawks, when they were there. It's just hard to get clean data. So year to date, probably the best I could do is estimate about 1,300 cards sold year to date. Now, Le Cavier was much easier, and there's been 1,575 cards sold. So pretty close, but you got to give a little bit of the edge there to Vincent Le Cavier. Now, sales of $500 US or more, 0 for Martin St. Louis and 1 for Vincent Lecavalier. So
Oh, that hurts.
not much going on there. So it's so close. And this is so tough. I did the only thing a reasonable hockey card podcaster would do. I asked the robots who was the better player. So I went to ChatGPT and asked who was more meaningful to the Tampa Bay Lightning franchise, Martin St. Louis or Vincent Lecavalier. And after actually a very thoughtful, sometimes it gets a little wonky with the robots. A very thoughtful and detailed response is they came to the same conclusion that I did, that it's Martin St. Louis who deserves the final spot on the Lightning's Hobby Mount Rushmore, but a very, very close finish with Vincent Lecavalier. So might be able to argue both spots. Now, do you guys agree with my assessment there, or do you disagree?
I agree with it. And yeah, you could go both ways, but I would probably still take St. Louis first.
Troy,
Yeah.
it looks like,
Well, it's like I didn't watch Tampa Bay a lot when I was growing up. So it's not like I saw these guys play a lot. Now, Martin St. Louis is a little more relevant to me right now just because he's a head coach. Yeah, and you see about him more often. But for everything you looked at, obviously it was funny to let the computer tell you which one. Now, this card you're showing, is that the highest sale of one? Is that
it's just
I mean, there's nothing over 500, or St. Louis had none over 500
this year. They do in their future, but both Lecavalier had some decent years in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And then St. Louis finished his career at the Rangers. And so there's some Rangers limited logos. I didn't want to.
I was started looking up limited logos. These are cheap. I'm going to start looking for these. Except Grotman probably bought them all.
Now, if you're wondering, beyond Lecavalier, who would be other guys? Victor Hedman would be.
Yeah.
But he's honestly a great player, but not even in the realm of the
a true defenseman, right?
Yeah. And then you get to Braden Point or Brad Richards. Those are pretty much, and that's a big step down from there.
Yes,
so,
especially the hobby relevant part. Great players are just hobby relevance. No.
So Predators legend Steven Stamkos, Big Cat, Andrei Vasilevsky, Nikita Kucherov, Troy's favorite defenseman, and Martin St. Louis make up the Tampa Bay Lightning's Hobby Mount Rushmore. We have one team left in the Atlantic Division. We're in the Atlantic, or that's where we started. And Boston Bruins. That one could be.
Well, you're gonna have 2 locks for sure.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then debate, I guess.
Marchand is a lock.
The rat.
Tim Thomas, right? Come on.
Tim
Charlie
Thomas.
Coyle.
I loved Tim Thomas because he's a little unhinged at times.
Right.
And he would chase players down and start fighting them, kind of like Hextall. So,
all right, Louis, thanks. We'll have you back soon. Okay, got to make a quick mention for Gongshow partner sponsor Slab Sharks. Very, very thankful for their support of our show. The current Slab Sharks weekly eBay auction is live, runs through this upcoming Thursday night, getting closer and closer to the start of the 2024-25 NHL season. And things in the old hobby, buying and selling, should start to be heating up, if not now, very, very soon. Well, one indication, there's a whopping 1,947 cards available this week to bid on in the Slab Sharks auction. And as the hobby's 2 most intrepid hockey card journalists, me and you, and Phil, who bailed, we all spent. He didn't bail on this though. He did spend time going through the auction, studying, contemplating, put his thinking cap on, and we've all picked out a couple of our favorites. Troy, because you're the oldest and best looking, you get to go first, and Phil and I will. Well, Phil's not here.
Yeah, I'll start us out. So first one I did, 2023 Upper Deck SPX Leo Carlsson Black Lustrous Rookie Signatures Auto. And why I did this card is I'm not even the big. I mean, I love Leo Carlsson. I think he's a great player, but to me, this is just a great looking card. They almost nailed it. I think the auto's too thick, but besides that, I think this is a great looking card. It's black. I like black cards. It's got the silver auto. Pen's a little weird, but it's a little thick. But I
for
think
silver auto though, I mean they're usually very streaky. This one is about the least streaky silver auto I've ever seen.
So to me, this is and look the look the logo. It's blended in. So to me, great job on this card. Fantastic. Any Leo Carlsson fans, I would think would want this card. Second card. Oh, this is a good one. Boy, I can't remember the last time I saw a Tony Twist card, but 2021 Upper Deck, the Cup, Tony Twist, exquisite endorsement relics patch auto out of 50. If you've never heard of Tony Twist, played in the 90s, fighter. That's all. I mean, that's what he's known for. I think he scored maybe 8 goals, had like 30 career points maybe, but was known as an enforcer, a fighter. He's been in a lot of the, like when people do documentaries on enforcers in the NHL, he's usually in there. Feared, could fight. No one, I wouldn't want to fight him. But the other reason some people might know Tony Twist is that Todd McFarlane in his comic book Spawn, and I can't remember if it was in the comic book or in this TV show, I think it was in both, had a character based on Tony Twist. Like he said, McFarlane said he used Tony Twist. Now, I won't get into the character because this is a family show and Spawn is very dark and very graphic. Let's just say it wasn't very, the character was a bad guy and it wasn't very nice. Ended up, Tony Twist sued McFarlane for like $20 million US.
Really?
Yes. And it went through the court system. Eventually, I believe McFarlane ended up paying Tony Twist $5 million US. It was either $5 million or $1 million after it was all said and done. So very interesting, but that's where some people might have heard of Tony Twist. But I remember Tony Twist played for I think he was at Nordiques. Did he play for Avalanche when they went? I can't remember exactly where he all played, but I just remember Tony Twist being an enforcer. So I think it's like, I mean, if you're a Tony Twist guy or an enforcer guy, boy, you don't see many cup cards exquisite with them on it. So he's
on the new cup checklist.
Is he on the new one? So I wonder if they probably signed a deal. He's probably on everything.
Closed caption to Seth MacFarlane. Can you make characters out of me and Troy, make them so awful that we sue you
Todd
too?
McFarlane.
Todd McFarlane. Oh, yeah. Seth MacFarlane too. That would work on Family Guy too.
Yeah, Family
Guy. Both
McFarlanes.
Can you please disparage Troy and I so we can sue you for $5 million? It'd be amazing.
All right. I took a third card just because I want to show the picture real quick.
Yeah.
Look at that thing. Tony Esposito. It's a 2017 President's Choice Hockey Puck Stoppers game use stick on it, but just a sweet mask and artwork card. So I just want to show that quick.
How did they get away with the C on the? Is that the Blackhawks arm patch?
It's 2017, so I'm wondering if they had a license back then.
Okay.
To do stuff like this, or that's actually a really great question. Now that I'm talking out loud, it doesn't look 100% correct, but maybe they somehow got around it. I don't know.
Pretty cool looking card, though.
Yeah, great looking card.
Okay, I had a couple of favorites that I picked out, Troy. The first is a 2021-22 Upper Deck Premier Mason McTavish
second
rookie patch. Rookie patch auto out of 249. It's raw. I still haven't given up on McTavish as a player in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a little bit of a make or break year for him. I really love the Premier RPAs. Speaking of it, to me, these are really great designed cards. And you got to zoom in on the old McTavish hockey mouth there because Upper Deck really did him dirty.
Yeah, is his tongue out?
Yeah, he's sticking his tongue out. It's kind of funny. And then the second one, in honor of the Tampa Bay Lightning Hobby Mount Rushmore, I had to go with a 2021-22 The Cup Andrei Vasilevsky limited logos patch auto gold out of 25. Great looking patch, especially you get like the Maple Leafs and the Lightning both have the 2-color jerseys.
Yeah.
And so to get some sort of design like this in the patch, I think makes all the difference. And I just love this goalie card. Now, Phil. So leave it up to us. Now we get the pleasure, the honor, or the I'm a little scared, I'll be honest. We're
trying to go into Phil's brain, and
we try to go into Phil's brain. If any, we wave our hands, we get all excited. We hate Danny Heatley. Let's be Phil right now. And okay, you want to put up the first one, and we'll try to figure out. So he went with this 2022 Upper Deck Clear Cut Ron Hextall Upper Deck Exclusives auto out of 65 raw. It's a sweet card, but why? What do you think the connection is here?
I was wondering if he's from Ottawa. I don't know where Hextall's from. I was trying to think there, but also this is One thing with Hextall, you don't see a lot of cards with him with one of the more modern goalie mask on. Usually it's the old cage style, I think, if I remember it. So Hextall's from Brandon, Canada, which I have no clue where that is. I'm looking on a fun map. This doesn't help me.
It's from Branson, Manitoba, Louis says.
Brandon, Manitoba. Brandon, not Branson. Branson, Missouri. So it's by Winnipeg. It's like west of Winnipeg. I don't know why Phil picked this. Phil must love Ron Hextall.
No chance. It's something like the number. It's like numbered 17 out of 65.
Oh, yeah.
He was like 17 when he held a girl's hand for the first time. It's got to be something totally weird like that. And then the next one is a 2007 Artifacts Don Cherry Legends out of 25. I just think Phil probably loves Don Cherry. You can imagine him.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to talk to Phil about this. Like, I want to know the Don Cherry. What's his reputation up there? Because listen, I think he played one NHL game, but he was a coach, commentator forever. Very controversial. Does not hold back.
Not a great ending to the career, right?
No, I think he got like 20
canceled.
He got fired. Everything's going. He said, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I want to say it was something about immigration or something like that. And he got fired. I'm just curious. Like, I know in voting that I've seen or read, he's always been like one of the top Canadian, I don't know, sports
personalities.
Pundits. Yeah, personalities. And I was curious what Phil's take is on Mr. Don Cherry. I've always loved the outfits. I'll tell you that. He ain't afraid to hold back.
Oh, Louis wondering why the Boston Bruins name is on the team card. Was he the coach there or something?
Yes. He coached I think he might have played. That's where he played his one game. And I believe he coached them for 5 seasons, if I'm remembering my history right.
Well, we'll just go with Don Cherry as Phil's dad. How about that? Well, if you're gearing up for the start of the 2024-25 season, want to take advantage of a terrific time to sell some of your cards, why not do so and partner up with Slab Sharks on their eBay consignment services, because they will make it very easy for you to do so. If you're wondering, well, why and how? Well, it's because they do all the work. All you got to do is drop off your cards at one of the many shows they set up at, or send them into Slab Sharks via their online submissions system. Then they'll take it from there. They'll take professional photos, list your cards, answer buyer questions, hunt down payment from all the winners, ship your cards to winners in either Canada or the US, and most importantly, handle any post-sale issues. Your cards are also included in their incredibly popular and growing weekly auctions that attract tons of hockey eyeballs. So for complete consignment info, including payout rates, head to slabsharks.com today to get the process started. Hobby news!
Hobby news. Let's do it. Sad hobby news to start out. Yuck.
I hate this stuff. This is the worst time of the season. Like, you never want to see like a news notification with your favorite player in it, because it's not going to be good. And a little bit of a bummer here. New Jersey Devils star young defenseman and Hughes bro, Luke Hughes, will miss the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Legit Hughes bro.
Yeah. He'll miss the next 6 to 8 weeks and the start of the NHL season after sustaining a shoulder injury. I agree. Apparently, he injured the shoulder earlier this month while training for the upcoming NHL season. The injury will not require surgery, which is a good thing. Hughes is just 21 years old, set the Devils' franchise scoring record for a rookie defenseman last season, producing 9 goals, 37 assists for 47 points. He was nominated as a Calder finalist as well, even though him nor Brock Faber had a snowball's chance in winning.
My dog is very upset about this news because she decided to start howling.
Oh, I'm sorry. Need to give her a hug or something, or what?
She's fine.
When there's so much hope, again, at the start of the season, it's always tough for the reality of injuries that often affect players and key hobby chases. Based on the timeline given, it looks like he'll miss the first 2 weeks to a month of the season because it doesn't start for another month. I don't know. Do you see it have an impact, Troy, on his hobby chase at all?
Probably a little bit right away. But once he comes back, gets in the swing of things, hopefully he can produce. And obviously probably not going to be a big goal scoring threat, but
sure. It is hard though when you're coming into your second year, because then you're in catch-up mode, right? In all things, so you're trying to get back into shape, trying to get back in the swing of hockey, and then too, there's the other thing that we don't, and I think our minds, we kind of assume that when a player comes back, they're 100% too. So maybe him coming back he won't
lingering.
be 100%. And then
Mhm.
I think the other thing that you really have to worry when it comes to all these shoulders is re-injury.
Yep.
I feel like that it doesn't get fixed till they have surgery. Am I,
Agree. No, I
you know,
agree. And even though they say it doesn't require surgery, don't be surprised if once they're out of the playoffs, that surgery is scheduled the next day and give them enough time to recoup. You just never know.
there's a lot of big 2023-24 sets coming out this fall too. We got Platinum coming out next week.
Mhm.
So a lot of his rookie cards, but then, Simon Nemec, right? Maybe he'll get more of an opportunity, and he is a 2023 rookie, or was he 2022? I forget.
Nemec, I can't remember.
I think it's this year too. So, or 2023 as well. We'll have Louis look that up.
He's 23.
Okay. Well, Luke Hughes is the 2023-24 Young Guns PSA 10 pop 802, 30% gem rate. That's pretty low.
Yeah.
That's sold for 150 US on August 31st. That was up about 25% in the past month. We'll have to see what happens.
I'd also say if I was interested in that, I would probably wait and see what happens if it dips.
All right, Troy. Well, Upper Deck was in the news a little bit, and you kind of got the next story.
Yeah, it's they're in the news kind of tertiary or secondary, but
yeah.
So here's what happened. So the rumor that we first started hearing this in July is when I first heard it coming out of Comic-Con. People were saying this, but it finally came to fruition as it was announced on September 12th that Topps, which is owned by Fanatics, has entered into an agreement for global trading card rights for Disney, Pixar, and Marvel starting in early 2025. The first set being released, Topps Finest X-Men 97 set. Okay, well, that's great. Well, it's not specifically hockey card related. Again, this just goes to show you what Fanatics and that machine has been doing in the trading card hobby and their continued push to acquire various licensed properties. I forgot to say this at the beginning. Remember, Fanatics is a sponsor of our show, so I just want to make sure everyone is aware of that. And so here we go. We got Fanatics going after this license. So Upper Deck used to have Marvel, and basically they did Disney stuff too, I believe, if I remember right. So that, I complained to you about this. I'm like, nowhere does it say exclusive. No one's saying exclusive in any of these press releases. I'm wondering if that's become a dirty word that these companies don't want to use anymore. So now they said global trading rights. So I'm assuming that's what it means. And even though, so Marvel moves over to Topps. Side note, Upper Deck did announce a deal with Warner Brothers, Disney Global or Discovery Global Consumer Products that they're taking on DC now. DC comic trading cards are coming to Upper Deck. So again, okay. Marvel way more valuable, but just say no. But again, let's go back to Fanatics. And okay, here's the acquisitions they've made from Troy's memory and trying to research. So obviously, Fanatics has the MLB license, which they got when they bought Topps. They also have the exclusive trading rights for Premier League Soccer, MLS, which is soccer, UFC, which obviously fighting, Formula One. It will get the NBA license next year. It gets the NFL and WWE licenses in 2026. But I wonder, did that change with the whole lawsuit with the NFLPA? I have no clue. I don't follow that closely. And then they also have Star Wars through Topps. And Star Wars has been with Topps since I think 1977 is what I read. But here's the deal. Here's the $1 million question. Is Fanatics going to go after hockey? Have they shown us any reason why they won't stop trying to go after hockey after that the current Upper Deck and NHL/NHLPA license expires?
Okay, let's get to that in a quick second. I want to really quick though first, go back to the whole Marvel and exclusivity thing. So were you able to find anywhere about exclusivity or that Upper Deck's out on Marvel or?
Well, they're not out on EPAC. Well, so here, okay, step back. Here's how I read everything. Topps gets exclusive. I think Topps does get the exclusive for Marvel, Disney. Now, for EPAC stuff that's currently in your Upper Deck EPAC account, that's Marvel, Disney, that all stuff kind of stays. You still get that. You can still trade. You can still make parallels, combine stuff. You can store, ship, transfer to ComC, do achievements. I think that's all good. but I still never found anything that said this is an exclusive deal. But it sounds like it is from everything I'm reading. Especially when they say global trading rights, so it sounds like it's going to Topps.
Did you see the email from EPAC?
Yeah, that's kind of what I did. That was I really quickly went over that. It's like you basically, if you have Marvel stuff in EPAC, you can still do stuff with it. It's not like it's going to go away.
The key line from it is, so first it starts, the Upper Deck EPAC team would like to provide an update involving your collectibles. Now this is the key line, and it's related to Marvel and Disney EPAC update. It says after the conclusion of the collaboration, which is their way of very as soft as possible saying we're losing Marvel.
Yeah.
Rest assured, you'll still be able to engage with your existing Marvel and Disney collection, as well as other EPAC collectors' existing Marvel and Disney, items, right? So, yeah, it sounds like that they.
I think it was worded horribly by Fanatics. I mean, to be honest, it seems like they're trying to really avoid making it apparent that it's an exclusive deal, which who knows? Maybe that's the new marketing thing. But
okay, now the hockey thing.
Yeah.
To me, I don't know. Well, there's a part of me, Troy, that thinks that Fanatics just can't go after only the hockey license, that they have to buy Upper Deck. Because can you imagine having hockey cards and not having Young Guns?
Hey, things change, right? I mean, I can't imagine it, but I don't think that would stop them. They wouldn't think about that for 1 second. I don't think, if they really wanted it, I don't think the losing of that kind of branding would.
Yeah, I suppose that, because it's kind of hard to imagine basketball and football without Prism, but it's not gonna.
But I think, I was like, go ahead.
I was just gonna say though, the other thing that makes me feel like it's a package deal, is without a hockey license, the Young Guns brand has little to no value anyways.
Yeah.
Right. So it has incredible license within the hockey license.
Yeah.
Really independent of it, no value. And so I can imagine Fanatics will go after it. And again, they're a sponsor. We love them. I think they've overwhelmingly the Fanatics have been positive of the hobby. There is a part of me that scares me having one manufacturer.
Yes.
I just got to be honest.
Yep. I think I'd like having multiple for competition. and I also worry just like what will happen on the, what do you call it? Regulatory front. If this keeps happening, like does this government step in at some point? Never know what's going to go on with that. But I think
the perfect scenario for hockey would be to give them both the license. I'd love to have Young Guns, and I'd love to have Topps Chrome.
Yeah. But I think you're right. The most likely scenario, if something does happen, is that Fanatics eventually can persuade the Upper Deck family that owns it to sell. I think that was the smartest way. Now, the only thing that could throw a curveball in that is Gary Bettman at some point will not be the commissioner anymore of the NHL. I'm assuming it's Bill Daly, who's the assistant commissioner, would take over. I don't know any of that background, but if a new person does come in, will they be more? I'm just curious what their mindset would be on the whole trading card thing.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's going to be really interesting to see how that shakes out. And we don't even know exactly how long Upper Deck's agreement with the league is. Like they're so hush hush on all.
Yeah, we've always thought you said this. You think it's 5. It was signed in 2021 with the NHL and NHLPA. So we've always been planning or 2026 maybe is when we'll hear more news about a new deal or something else will happen.
Which would coincide with probably, if it were to happen, like an announcement, because just because the deal expires doesn't mean that they can't be negotiating with, hypothetically with Fanatics right now and announce the deal. The basketball and football licenses were announced years in advance. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens there. But how much of a blow do you think it is to Upper Deck losing Marvel?
Oh, I'm sure it's a big blow. I mean, I'm assuming because they created cards for every Marvel property, and especially the MCU. That I think is, I mean, I don't think replacing it with DC that lessens the blow, but Marvel to me is probably worth a lot more than DC. But yeah, so it's tough. I mean, they still got some other, they got the video games, they got the AEW, still have, and they got hockey, obviously, but it's never good to lose that kind of thing.
Being a card manufacturer and the whole licensing is terrifying.
That's gotta be I bet it's probably a fun job, but it's probably just the most stressful job too, trying to negotiate those deals.
Talk about the rug being pulled from underneath you.
Yeah.
It's like you lose all this business. And from all intents and purposes, Upper Deck did a fine job with Marvel, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you like the sets and.
Yeah, I've liked it. I mean, there's definitely been some issues with some of them, but for the most part, I've liked the Marvel sets. I think, we're a hockey show. I'm not going to give it the whole Marvel talk.
Besides hockey, though, and like minor stuff like AEW, is there any license that Fanatics doesn't have now?
Man, they have a ton of stuff. I don't know. Like, they also have, I don't know how tennis and golf play into all this. I know Topps makes cards, but Upper Deck has golf too, right? Or maybe Topps has tennis, Upper Deck might have golf. I don't know. I don't know how all that works with that licensing. We need to get an expert on trading card licenses to come on our show.
Well, that'll be a fun show. Get a lawyer on to talk about that. All right, we have one more quick story, and I just wanted to bring this up because I saw it and it really fascinated me. I saw a story via Coach Co's TikTok. So if you're not following him, be sure to check him out. But I think most people in the hobby already are. So Troy, there's an Instagram account called Utah Breaks, and they posted this image of an empty package they received from the United States Postal Service that was supposed to contain their LeBron, Durant, Curry triple USA Olympic card from Topps Now. And the package is in a plastic bag with stickers on it that says it was received by USPS unsealed, damaged, and without cards. So they basically ordered cards and got an empty package, which means that someone opened it and pocketed the contents.
Yes.
Now there's a number of, I think, things to talk about here and bring up. First of all, when you look at the package, and if you can zoom in a little bit, Troy, on the package, what you'll see in the from address is it clearly says fulfillment department, Topps.com on there. That's probably not a good idea going forward.
Even when you get Google's phone shipped to you, I mean, you can figure it out, but it never says it's from Google. It never says it's a phone. It's always some random company name. It's probably the name of the company that fulfills it, but
or very classically, like when you get a credit card in the mail.
Yeah,
it's typically from a white envelope, like as ambiguous as possibly can be.
Yeah,
I think an easy fix for Topps, but they need to make their packages a lot more ambiguous going forward, because again, there's like 600,000 of these cards printed, and Topps Now goes out all the time. It's very easy to identify that. Now, the other thing that is more interesting is, so let's say this is your purchase, and what Topps Now, I think they still might do hockey too.
Yeah, stickers. Yeah.
Is there anyone claimed a liability or responsibility at this point, or are you just completely SOL as a collector, right? Because Topps is going to say we shipped it.
Yeah.
The postal office is going to say we delivered it.
Here's what I want to know. I think you're SOL, but say that Topps knows where the one card everyone cares about, the autograph. Do they know where that card got shipped to? And if that was your card, would they do anything? If they did know, if it got taken from this package, that's what. And I'm talking about the triple auto that's got like $1 million bounty. I'm always curious, like, does Topps know where that card went, to what address, to what person?
Yeah. I don't know. Oh, Louis chimed in saying nobody uses those phones, your Google phones. So we have nothing to worry about. Yeah, I don't know. I've heard some stuff too recently from people that say that like shipping insurance isn't all that's made out to be either. Like it's
they'll do anything. USPS will do anything and everything to deny your claim.
Yeah. So what do we do here? So it's probably really most on Tops to do
to
to
make
make
things
their
right.
packaging more
Yep.
inconspicuous, right?
Yeah.
And to eliminate this stuff from happening. I don't know how often it happens, and kind of the main reason why I wanted to bring it up is get the conversation going a little bit,
Yeah.
and maybe to hear from some people that have had experience with an issue like this, and if anyone helped you. I know, like in the comments, like somebody's saying that you can contact like a male inspector or something
The
like that,
post inspector
post
general or whatever.
or inspector general, but
Yeah.
I doubt that ever goes anywhere. So if you're a postal employee or you're a collector that's had experience with something like this, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you.
Definitely.
Okay. Bring Baba Louie back here. So while Louie and I were at the Rookie Showcase, we had the opportunity to introduce ourselves to real journalists, like our guest today, Russ Cohen. So Russ has a long history writing on the NHL for numerous publications. He's a member of the Professional Hockey Writers Association. Is he the PWHA? I didn't see.
No.
He's
You did it. I was just going to see if you'd do it. PHWA.
PHW. Oh,
I always think PWHA every time I see that because it's Professional Women's Hockey Association.
Oh.
They need a better name. Someone's got to change their name somewhere.
All right, PHWA. Right. What I was going to say though is I don't see on here he's a member of the PHCWA, which we may found in the near future, the Professional Hockey Card Writers Association. We are hockey card journalists. In addition, though, Russ has written over 10 books on like sports and the hobby, a total overachiever. He does radio, podcasts, he does it all. And we were fortunate enough to have him on our show. He also specializes in prospects. So he seemed like the perfect choice to talk about the 2024-25 hobby class and what we should expect from these players in our own prospecting endeavors as the 2024-25 sets start to come out. So with that, here's our conversation the other day with Russ Cohen. Well, we're very pleased to welcome Russ Cohen, contributor to Sportsology, NHL Network Radio, NHL Draft Buzz, published author, an all-around great guy, to the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. We met Russ at the Rookie Showcase when Baba Louie and I were total fish out of water. And, he, I guess, knows how to spot, troubled puppies that look like they need help and was very, very kind to us. So welcome to the Gong Show, Russ. It's great to have you.
Yeah, thanks. I used to have like a herding dog, so I feel like I was herding.
Yeah. There we go. Okay, so one of the things that we learned from you at the Rookie Showcase is that, unlike it was our first time, you've been there many years. So why don't you maybe start with a little bit of your history at the Rookie Showcase and how it's maybe evolved over the past decade or so?
Yeah, they used to have it at Ryerson University, which is right where the old Maple Leaf Gardens was, and it was a nice place to have it. I mean, it's a hall. I would drive the 8 or so hours. Luckily, I had a friend's house who I could stay at, and he would work the gig with me. So I used to have somebody who helped me. Now I'm doing it myself, but it was fun. It was a good place to have it, but they would get besieged by the Toronto media, and I kind of wonder if over the years they were like, this is a little too Toronto centric. We want to get other media involved, and so they eventually, left there. They went to the Marlies practice center for a little while, maybe 1 year, maybe two. Did it there, and then eventually, moved it to DC, which I think is a great place in Kettler there, and it's easy for flights in and out, and you can get other media from other cities. The Toronto guys, they're going to come anyhow. Like the Montreal guys all were there, right? So, but then you get, people from other cities. You get people from Philly and New York and Pennsylvania, and other places not too far away. Even Boston guys will come, and so it's a great event because the guys love it because they get to see either teammates or they meet these guys for the first time. As an example, there were a lot of guys that were interested and were having fun meeting Matt Rempe because, towards the end of the season last year, he really burst on the scene, became like a minor celebrity, I would say, in the sport.
Sure.
He was, fighting everybody. So, that kind of stuff happens, and that's nice. Sometimes news gets broken there. Sometimes you find out about a player going to a particular college, now he's not going, or you find out that uniform changes. That certainly that event had Matvei Michkov in the Flyers uniform for the first time on the ice.
Yeah.
So sort of things like that. We saw those new Ducks uniforms. That was a big deal. So there's a lot of different things that can get broken there too, even though it's collectibles, right? And so nobody thinks about that, but like I'm a collectibles guy at heart, and I do cover the news too. And so like it works really well for me as a prospect guy, especially because I interview all these guys. Like I do a lot of work with Sirius, so I'm on the draft floor. So I do draft work all year long. And so, a lot of these guys I've interviewed 2-3 times, maybe even more before a draft. And then I see them at this, a year or two later, depending on when they make it. And some recognize me. And so I feel like it helps me too. But I feel like it's good for everybody to go to this because you get photos of the guys, you get some candid stuff, you get some stuff where they kind of tell you what's happening before they get into training camp. Sometimes it's their first training camp, like with Macklin Celebrini. And I find that to be, good off-season content when you're dying for content.
Yeah. Did you learn anything at this rookie showcase that might have surprised you?
I don't think I learned much other than I felt like Rempe has a pretty good hold on things as far as he understands his role, but he worked on a lot of other things. So it was good to see he's trying to round out his game because he actually could score a little bit in juniors, but doesn't mean it'll translate, right? So he worked on that. Celebrini surprised me. I had spoken to him about because his parents live in San Jose, but then he sort of was like, I haven't been there that much. And I was like, okay, interesting, because at the draft, he was like, yeah, I'm familiar with the area and stuff. So sometimes you don't get all the info like at a draft, you just get some of it.
Yeah.
And so like now it was a little more pinpointed. So I think that surprised me. Not much.
I think with Celebrini, when his dad got the job with the Warriors, I think that coincided with him coming to Shattuck here right in our neck of the woods. So maybe that.
Yeah, and the one thing that's really underrated with Celebrini that a birdie whistled in my ear was that I'm pretty sure he did work out in the summer with like Steph Curry and some of those guys. He doesn't like to talk about it and doesn't really cop to it, but I was told, they did some trading back and forth because those guys are elite athletes and they could really help him. And you see him. I mean, he looks like he's an NHLer already.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a nice little edge for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anybody else. I mean, I got an exclusive with Fedotov, so I would say I did learn some things because even though he played a little bit last season and we interviewed him, he gave me a lot more. Like he's a Russian guy and there's Russian stores in Philly, and so I chatted with him about that and just found more of a personable touch there. That maybe he won't even give out until he's more comfortable, with the team. But there, it's like, it's fine, it's loose. So, I felt like that was really good.
I could not believe how big he is.
Oh my God.
I couldn't believe it. I kept telling to Louis, I can't believe how big this guy is.
He's 6'8", like 6'8" goalie.
I don't know. He's like the tallest. But in the goalie gear and stuff, it's like the dude takes up the whole net.
I mean, I have a picture of me with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and I look like nothing with him on stage. Like, it's just funny. I remember a guy from Adam Kimmelman from NHL.com. He took a picture and he sent it to me. He goes, "Look at you," and I just laughed because it was like, it was funny. But he's even bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The last thing on the rookie showcase, I just kind of curious, and we have some kind of like pictures down memory lane to look at here too. But how has this changed over the last couple of years? I mean, is there any indication that the hobby's becoming, bigger from an NHL circles perspective?
Yeah. Well, it's getting more secretive from Upper Deck's perspective. As an example, I had a deal where I used to be on the ice, so I couldn't get you those pictures. They're on a different computer, and I just didn't have the time this week. But I would wear a helmet. I was on the ice with skates. I was interviewing the guys. They kind of like that. I did that for a couple of years. Then they're like, insurance, can you just got it. So then that stopped. And then up until like 2 years ago, I was even in the penalty box, and they would come and interview me after they had a few moments, free on the ice. And that worked for a little while. But then, they changed it up again. I have pictures on my Instagram of the Hughes brothers shooting literally at me, but at everybody who was taking pictures and videos in the dark room that they have. We couldn't even get to that now. So, they still let you get behind the scenes a little bit, but from upstairs. They want far away shots. They want all the close ups. I get it. So that's Brady Tkachuk from a while ago. Johnny Gaudreau wearing his original number, Evan Bouchard. Yeah. So it's changed, a little bit as the hobby has grown and gotten bigger, and this has become a little bigger event. The access has sort of been changed a little bit, but I'm happy with it. I feel like I get everything I need to, and so and I don't even bring that big mic anymore because I have like a little mic that I hook to my phone, so that saves me a little bit. So, but it's nice.
Josh was the only guy with the big mic throwing that around at the rookie show. It kind of cracked me up a little bit.
You're a real journalist, Russ, and we're hockey card journalists, which is you have to go to many less years of school to do that.
Listen, I do a weekly column on GTA. Not weekly. It's weekly, but it's not a column. It's I do baseball, football, and hockey for GTS every week. I put up an article.
Oh wow!
For those three sports every week, and I've been doing that for
the distributor, right? GTS.
Yeah. I bet you it's gogts.com, and I bet you it's been 5 years or more. I've been doing that.
It's funny you told the. Well, good. It's funny that you told the story. And I think I said this a couple shows ago when we were talking about our experience at the Rookie Showcase, but I got to mention again just because you're here. When you said that the Hughes brothers were shooting at you, there's one point where I had to go to the bathroom. I had to tinkle, as they like to say in the business. And so I ran and was on the light side of the rink, and you had to and I was making sure they weren't taking any pictures. And I ran across, and I didn't even know who it was, but one of the players thought it'd be funny. And literally, like right at the level of my ear,
of course,
I'm not gonna lie, I hit the ground. I mean, it scared the crap out of me. I was very focused. Funny. I was very focused on making it to the bathroom.
See, that's how they know that you haven't covered hockey, because if you're at practice and it's the kind of practice where they let you get down low, because a lot of places still do that, guys will just shoot at you. They'll just shoot at you, and it's for fun. Up until 2 years ago, like I said, I was in the penalty box, and Dylan Cousins was shooting at a net there, and Mike Johnson, who works for NHL Network, at some point said, "Russ, you need to get out of there. I think he's going to break glass." And I said, "Okay, I'll move while you're filming." And so Dylan Cousins got a heck of a wrist shot, so it got close. But I wanted to feel how hard he was shooting, and you could feel it.
Well, we have a radio show here, K-Fan, Paul Allen. He's the Vikings play-by-play guy. He does a show, and when the Wild are playing, he'll do it from the penalty box. Yeah. And every 20 minutes, you just hear wham, like they're shooting pucks at him while he's sitting in there. So they like to mess with him.
Yeah, I could see that. But yeah, players do like to shoot it at the media. Like that's just the way it is.
Okay, let's dig into some rookies. So that's a big part of what you do. You study the draft, you study prospects, you know a lot about these guys, and a number of the players that could make an impact in the NHL this year, which of course leads to their Young Guns rookie cards.
Yes,
were there. And so the first one, you already mentioned him a little bit, is the number 1 overall draft pick, Macklin Celebrini. So what stands out to you about him?
Hockey IQ, great passer, plays a full game. He's already playing a 200-foot game where, someone like Michkov comes in, he's going to have to learn how to play a full game. Celebrini already does that. Just like you can see, he's pretty developed, very mature. You can tell he's had great coaching along the way. He dominated college hockey, which is very hard for an 18-year-old to do. It used to be near impossible, except the old days. You go back to Paul Correa, sure. But then for a while, it became very hard. And now all of a sudden, guys are getting so good the last few years, 2-3 years, there's, all of a sudden true freshmen that are dominating. So, and he's one of them. And so, he's a one and done, and he's going to, get full time with the Sharks. To me, it'll be interesting. Like, maybe he'll be the number 1 center. Maybe Will Smith will be. It'll probably be him, but Smith is a hell of a player too. So it's a good problem to have.
Do you think that they'll do a development program similar to the Ducks, like as they did with Leo Carlson, and sort of ease their way into the league? Or is that just something that the Ducks were trying? Or do you see other teams like the Sharks kind of mimicking that, like maybe playing every other game for the first half of the year or something like that?
No, I don't think they're going to do that. I think because Carlson played overseas, they wanted to sort of ease him into North American hockey. He had never played North American hockey before. Celebrini does. So I don't think they'll do that with him. I don't think now. There's always a possibility if they feel like after like 50 games he's hit the wall that they sit him one or so. But with this kid, I doubt it.
What do you think his upside is? To me, that's like as sort of like a novice, just hockey card guy. You know he's the number one pick, but if you look at the last 10 years, there's a wide spectrum of the careers that these number one picks have had, and so is he a generational talent like Connor?
He's not
Bedard,
generational, so he's not he's not Sidney Crosby, he's not Connor McDavid. He's just a notch below that. I think if you're asking me like where does he rank with Connor Bedard, they're different in the sense that Bedard's like flashier and a better scorer, but this guy's the better all around. So like he's more like Jonathan Taves, Bedard's more like Patrick Kane. Hard to say who's really better. I guess Patrick Kane has outlasted Taves, but is the point guy better? Is the all-around guy better? Like it's really, it's that close. So he's going to be a perennial all-star and just not a generational guy. But as far as his rookie year, there's some good players there. There's Eklund and there's Smith, and they have some guys, but they don't play great defense, and that's going to hurt them at times. So, and there's not a ton of great vet scorers there right now. So, I think 50 points might be his limit, only because of the team. If he were on a better team, I think he would have more points. So I would say 50 is probably his limit this year.
Do you see him as a 40-goal scorer at some point?
Not a 40-goal scorer. I think, he can get 25, 30, be like an 85, 90-point guy, something in that range.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then let's move on really quick to his teammate, Will Smith. And what do collectors need to know about him?
So what they need to know is it's interesting because he could be a hard guy to figure out. And that's hard for teams, and it's hard for writers, and it's hard for fans. So and somebody, when I told them that online tonight, they thought I was making it as a negative, and I'm like, I'm not. Artemi Panarin does this. There are games where you're like, where's Artemi Panarin? And I'm not really noticing him. Yeah. Nothing's happening. Goes in third period, gets 2 goals. Will Smith will do the same thing. Will Smith, he'll start the game off like a house on fire, or sometimes it'll ramp up. All of a sudden, you look at the score sheet, he's got a goal and 3 assists, and you're like, oh, yeah, wow, he had a great game. But sometimes you're not noticing that right away. He has a very good knack of being at the right place at the right time, clutch guy, can be a terrific goal scorer, great with the puck, like really going up the ice, good speed, excellent speed, all of that. So if he's a second line guy on the Sharks, maybe you're looking at 40 points in his first year just because of opportunity. There's only so many guys. Celebrini's probably going to get more opportunity than he will, but there are going to be times when people are going to be calling for Smith, I'm sure, because they're going to see these flashes of terrific hockey. There are some people in the prospect world that argue with me about him because they wonder how much he's going to score. He's scored everywhere he's ever gone. Like he's one of these guys you look, and in college he was terrific too. So I don't expect many problems, but I think his 200-foot game needs work, so it could derail a little offense early on. I mean, it is always a shock going. Even college hockey's great. I cover it. I love it, but it's not the NHL. You know what I mean? So there's there's a learning curve. These guys get some of that in preseason, but again, when you only have 4 or 5 NHLers playing at a time in preseason, it's hard to gauge too.
Can I ask you a question on that? Do you think college hockey, though, is the closest thing to the NHL right now, or would that be like a European Pro League or something? Because
no, I think the SHL is probably the closest. I mean, it's never going to be exact because the ice is bigger and it's not going to be as physical. But I think it's closer. That's why when you saw Leo Carlsson come in, the transition once he gets used to North American hockey was pretty good. College hockey, the physicality is there.
Yeah.
But the speed is not the same. Like the AHL, tremendously physical. The pace is better than college hockey, but they don't have as many stars at times. Even though it's quote unquote a developmental league, there's a lot of guys that either skip it or if they're Euros, they play overseas. Some of the Euros now are coming over and playing in the AHL, but not a ton. So, so sometimes they get skipped. So, yeah, I think it's still the SHL.
Okay.
It's funny you mentioned too pedigree a little bit. Troy and I, in our amateur scouting abilities, our hockey card scouting abilities, we often point to pedigree, and when we look at prospects, we'll go back and not so much like when they were 12, but by the time they got to college or the CHL or in the European leagues, whatever it may be, and you have these guys where collectors are chasing as if they're going to be a 40 goal 100-point scorer, and they've never had a half a goal per game in their life. And then we're like, how do you expect this to happen now all of a sudden in the NHL? Maybe we're overhyping this guy a little bit. And so it sounds like, that's one of the things that you look at pretty closely too.
I do. I'll give you an example of Alex DeBrincat. I argued with a lot of people in his draft year. A lot of teams passed on him. He's a smaller guy. My whole thing was, when I would talk about him, was look at what he's done at every level. At every level, he was pretty much like a 40-goal guy and, 80 to 90 points. And he's a 40-goal guy. And so he might be a smaller guy, but it doesn't matter. So sometimes that's a good thing to look at. But the way you do it, you're not keeping yourself open to the late bloomer who comes in at like 24, maybe plays college hockey all 4 years, plays a year of AHL, then he comes up, which happens a lot. 24, all of a sudden, now he's, physically better, he's mentally stronger, and he starts putting up points. So you have to once in a while look out for that guy, like the Tom Brady, you had the Michigan hat on, The only story I can give you about Tom Brady is I was at the 2000 draft, and I was really excited that the Jets drafted Chad Pennington. I like him. I think Chad Pennington was good. The problem was, what I didn't know was Parcells in his draft room had a guy saying, this Tom Brady kid's good, and the Jets ignored that. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Last question on the Sharks guys, Celebrini and Will Smith. Do you think it's an advantage that they're kind of doing this together, or a disadvantage?
No, it's an advantage. They know each other. Now they could be teammates. They're both learning at the same time. They're both high caliber, high, energy guys. So I think it's great. You can go back in a lot of sports and look at guys that sort of came up together, and it works. And when it works well, it's kind of magical.
Okay, well, we're going to move on to who I think one of the more interesting players is Cutter Gauthier.
Oh, yeah.
And he's had a very interesting last year, both on the ice and off the ice. Had a really good college career as well. And you cover Philly sports. So what happened in Philadelphia with this guy?
I mean, I don't have enough time to cover it all, but basically, what ends up happening is when a guy wants to, play, and they want to have everything sort of right, these guys, when they're really top college players, they could ask for the moon because they're in control of their destiny. CHL players aren't. Sometimes European players are, but most of the time it's the college guys. But it's only the great ones. And so Gauthier has is tremendous. And, he didn't get everything he was asking for. And he was just like, all right, look, it's not going to happen here. And the Flyers were smart, and they traded him, and they didn't let the word out.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they got good value back. But this guy is a star. He's smart. He's a great guy to talk to. As you saw in the interview process, he's just, he gets it. He was a star at the NTDP. He's fast. He is a goal scorer. And he's more than that, though, because he can score at a lot of different areas, but he's also can be an assist guy, too. But he's more of a goal scorer. And so these guys are hard to find, and he's got size. He's very strong. He may not be like a totally physical guy, but try and hold him back with his speed and everything else. He's committed. I mean, I've interviewed him a lot, and I'm impressed with him. So I fully expect him to be a star in the league. Was
it true that the Flyers sent John LeClair up to Boston to meet with him, and he refused that?
Yeah, but you have to understand that when negotiations get rocky to a point where the agent says to the player, "I'll handle it." So a player who's playing in a tournament, that's kind of a distraction to go and talk to the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be intimidating too. LeClair's a great guy. So he's, I'm not saying LeClair's going to intimidate him. I'm just saying he's in the tournament. His people probably said, "Listen, we'll handle it." And so he was like, "No, I don't want to talk to him because they're telling me not to talk to you." I think it was more of that kind of situation. I don't know for sure, but that was my read on it.
Well, it's kind of funny too. One of the things, and Louie and I had never been to anything like this before, and I'm in my mid 40s, and these are kids. It's like, holy
Yeah.
cow, you get really up close to them, and it's like, someone asked me if I was intimidated. I was like, no. I mean, I have a son their age, and so
Right.
it's hard to be intimidated by that. And my son is just started a couple weeks ago at the University of Minnesota, and watching him go through all this transition
Mhm.
and the mental side of it, it makes me really appreciate what these kids are going. Not that anyone really cares because I guess the money they make, but getting back to on that track on Gautier. So then, do you think he has the mental strength or fortitude to not only handle the transition of becoming an NHL player, but everything that went on in sort
Well,
of the messiness of the process?
I'll throw it back at you. He was asked about, wearing orange because,
Yeah.
you could have been wearing orange on the other team. He answered that great. He's ready for anything. I'm telling you, this guy is unflappable. When he comes to Philly and he gets booed, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, it showed, and I did feel like that he had a confidence about him,
Yes.
and he didn't get that like deer in the headlights look when they asked
No.
him
And you
about.
can see he's not like bitter. He's not going to like say, I
Yeah.
got a chip on my shoulder when I go into Philly. It's not like that. Now, will he score in Philly? Yeah, he probably will.
Was now a question I have about him is sort of just the overall dysfunction. I don't know if that's too strong of a word of the Ducks over the past couple of years, and
I
how
think that's
sort of
fair. Before Verbeek got there, I think there was some dysfunction.
and there's still question marks around Trevor Zegras, who was a big hobby star at one point, but they do have a lot of talent. Do you think that this is going to be a decent environment for him to succeed in, or
Yeah.
were you still concerned about that?
No, no, no. I think the coaching's fine. I think everything's good. You've got some real up and comers. He's friends with Zegers. He knows them. They've both been on the U.S. team. Don't think like Zegers can't play anymore. Like, he went through a little bit of a rough patch, but this guy is tremendous talent. This guy could put up,
Mhm.
75 points this year, and nobody's going to say, be surprised. So if you've collected him, don't give up on Trevor Zegers. That's crazy.
Okay, so you're expecting a bounce back from Zegras too a little bit?
Yeah, bounce back from Zegras. Carlson will be a force. Minchukov, right? He's a heck of a player too. He came right in there. They won't be great because overall on defense they're not great. Gibson, I think people expect too much from him. If the defense stinks at times, what can you really do as a goalie? And people are crazy because they're like, "Oh, Gibson's going to get traded. He's going to go here." He likes it there. He may not want to leave. Anaheim's a great place. He may just stay there. So he may just wait it out until the team's good, which I think might be in another year. I think with the defensemen that they have in their organization and these top-notch forwards, I think they're going to be close. Mason McTavish, and you haven't collected him, I would collect him.
Yeah, he had such a great because of COVID, and the junior schedule was all kind of goofed up, and he ended up being the star for Team Canada almost right before his rookie season started, and he didn't quite carry that momentum into the NHL and has been okay since then.
Sure,
But
but
I'd
again,
like to.
supporting cast too, right?
Mhm.
It helps.
Okay, so one of the funnier experience things for me or takeaways that I had from the rookie showcase was the little kind of playful and fun jabs that the Russians were throwing at each other.
Yes.
Miroshnichenko from Washington and then Matvei Michkov from Philadelphia were in a very kind of fun way going at each other a little bit. In some ways, is Michkov, or is it harder to project Russians, especially young ones like him, or are you pretty confident in his
No,
ability to
I'm
score?
confident. I think what's hard is to predict when it's going to come out. I see the talent. I know it's going to be there. I don't think he's scoring 80 points this year. So I can,
Mhm.
tell you that. I think he's going to be about 50 points
Yeah.
because he's got John Tortorella as a coach. He tended to leave the defensive zone early to create some extra offense. There'll be times when John will let him do that, maybe late in games, down a goal, something like that, but he's not going to be able to do that in the first period. So those are things that, he's going to have to tailor his game more towards the NHL. I watched him tonight up in the first period of the rookie game, and he tried to score off the goalie. down below the red. You know, he's a smart guy. He'll do all that. We'll see how he looks in the third period of that game. And so, yeah, I mean, really smart, but I think he has to learn because most of these guys, when they come over, the Kaprizovs, the Panarins and stuff, they're usually like 23, 24, sometimes 22. Tarasenko may have come over at 21, but he's 19.
Yeah.
So, but he's got all the tools and the motor and his already in camp. I could see just the way he stops and starts his edge work, the way he could spin and make a pass. He already did a spinorama. He already tried a Michigan. Tortorella was there watching the Michigan. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. I don't know if he's going to tell him to kind of cool it for NHL games. So because he said he doesn't like it, we'll see. There'll be a lot of drama with that. I think not too much at the beginning, but I think there'll be some stuff later.
Are the Philly fans going to embrace this kid?
Oh yeah, they already have. There were already people there. First rookie camp, first day, 4 or 5 jerseys already. People have bought quite a few jerseys already.
And this is a very limited interaction, of course, and just sort of a guess. But I kind of got the sense he marches to the beat of his own drum. So I don't know. He didn't seem like the type if Tortorella yells at him for shooting a Michigan that he might care all that much. You know?
No, he'll care. I mean,
you think so?
Yeah, he's coachable, but he's also a kid that's just like driven to be great. And so like this is just part of his arsenal, right? So, you know, if they'll handle it the right way and kind of let him know, hey, you know, maybe if it's there, they'll let him do it. Maybe John will soften on that and surprise us all. But I think he knows what he is, but he is coachable. And so I think that's the key thing. He knows he's got some veterans there that are going to work with him in Philly, and I think he's going to listen to all of them.
Okay, the last guy you sent to us was a little bit of a surprise in a good way because it was Shane Wright, and we often show the picture of the draft when he's putting on his jersey and he's got that little scowl on his face, and we've been calling it we dubbed it sort of the Shane Wright Revenge Tour, which turned in a little bit the Shane Wright tour.
Connor McDavid wasn't thrilled either, right? I mean,
yeah. There you go. And so it's been a little bit of a bumpy ride for Wright so far. It's been up and down a little bit. You know, I wouldn't call it the smoothest ride for a rookie, but what makes you excited about his opportunity this year?
I mean, I've seen him in juniors. I know what he can do. He still looked good in the AHL. I think he was skating and doing things you need to do as an NHLer, but I think Dave Haxtell just didn't have time for him. He was excellent in the AHL, though, and he won a Calder Cup. And that's always a good foundation for a player. So he's still full of confidence. I think he will show people. He's not a superstar, you know, but I think he could be a second-line guy. And I think, you know, you'd be like a 60-point guy if he gets to reach his potential. If he doesn't reach his potential, maybe he's only a 45-point guy. But I still would collect him because he's driven. And he has a lot of talent, and he's strong, and he's fast. And so I think if things will go different for him this year. And if he gets on the power play with Berniers, I think good things could happen. So, like I said, he didn't go down there and pout. He went down there and he won a Calder Cup for Coachella, the first one they ever won. So I give him credit.
So you think he'll get a full-time NHL opportunity this year?
Yeah, I think this year, I think he'll get it. If he doesn't, it's okay. It's not like he's old or anything, but I think he'll get it this year.
Yeah, he was just 18 when he was drafted, I think.
Yeah.
So it's not like, you know, he was super old. And I think that to go back to your late bloomer comment from earlier, you kind of get into this mode now where it's like, well, if they're 17 and not on the first line of an NHL team, what's wrong with that?
You have to remember, and this is a hard and fast rule for most players, like defensemen, 4 to 5 years. Defense is hard. If you're a bigger player, sometimes it's 4 to 5 years because there's a lot of moving parts. Yeah, some guys are big and fast and get it right away, but how often do you see power forwards get it right away in the NHL? It's hard. Makes it a little harder because it's a lot of different things going on at once. Like even Beckett Seneca now, right? He hurt his foot already. So like this year, it's already a little hampered. Things happen with these big guys. And then you get the stars that, sometimes. Now, do I think every first overall pick should play in the NHL right away? No. But teams are under pressure and they end up doing it. So it doesn't happen all the time, but it happens 98% point whatever percent of the time. But I don't think they should always do that. And again, I feel like teams should put players in the minors a bit more than they do. But sometimes there's situations like, as an example, like Chet Luchenko, he just turned 18 for the Flyers, right? He gets drafted. Are they going to send him back to juniors for like 4 years? Probably not. But he'll be too young to play in the AHL because you can't play until you're 20. So there'll be a point like Oliver Bonk this year. Either next year he has to go back again to London, or they're going to have to figure out how to, play him, not play him, get the 9 games, send him to the World Junior, do something like that, or just let him play. Like some of these guys, you have to do that with. Right, they were sort of doing that with, but it didn't work for him because he needed more development time, and so that was a mistake when they did it with him. But that's okay; they didn't hurt his development. Sometimes it happens, but most guys are 3 to 5 years.
If you go back through the history of the last even like 30 years, but even to like Crosby and Ovechkin, we've had rookie seasons where both of them, Crosby and Ovechkin, speaking of them, had more than 100 points their rookie year. Is today's game, do you see a rookie coming in now with how the game is played and doing that again? Because it seems like 60 points is sort of the upside for these guys now in their rookie seasons. And so it's hard to compare as a collector. Like you look at like a Bedard and you're like, and we know he broke his jaw too, but it's like he had 22 goals. And it's like, what did Ovi have, 40 or something like that his rookie year? So how do you, what's an exceptional rookie season in today's game?
I think an exceptional rookie season is like 70 points, 75 points. You don't get 100 anymore. I mean, somebody could come in and do that, but it's so hard.
For sure.
The goaltending's good. I mean, it's better than it ever has been. The players are bigger. They take up more ice. The video work that teams do and players do every game, before every game, they get, a package to look at. They know what they're looking at. They're looking at the bench with the iPad, so defensemen are looking at that. The defensemen are better than anything they've ever seen in their lives. So physicality. So with all that, it's so hard, So like Kaprizov, was he able to come in and was I able to tell people with certainty that he was the best player not in the NHL? Yeah, but he also came in at 24. So it made it a lot easier to project that. And he didn't get 100, but he got 90 something, I think.
And we know, we waited for 5 years.
24, so it's easier if you're 24. If you're 19 or 18, really hard.
Yeah, and to me, it's like what stands out as a Wild fan, and he's really our first true superstar. Now they open the door, crack. We got to bust it wide open on Kaprizov. Is that you could just like the eye test was like, holy cow!
It's not your first one. We have to be fair to Marion Gaborik. He was the first one. He was.
Okay, but okay. I remember though, because Troy and I, we really kind of met. We were neighbors, and we had season tickets, and we would go and watch plays. And
so is this going to be like a buddy movie now? You're going to rent?
Yeah. We and you'd go and like there was always, it seemed like, a guy on the other team who was like Patrick Kane or something like that, where you like when the puck's on his stick in the defensive zone, you're just like, oh crap, this is not good. And we never had that guy. It felt like till Kaprizov, and he was doing like his mohawk kind of thing around the corner, and so you could just tell right away that he was pretty special. And since we've never had you on, I have to ask you, because this year has been dominated by Connor Bedard, and we saw about half of his rookie products coming out, and people are spending crazy money. We just had a $16,000 card. There's $1 million bounty. There's $1 million bounty on his Young Guns 101 that hasn't been pulled yet. How good in your mind is he going to be? Is he in that generational, the Crosby, Ovechkin, McDavid, Matthews?
He's not Sidney Crosby. Few are. Like, what do you have? 120 points his second year. Few are Crosby. I think he's just below that, but I think he can get like 90 points. He might get 101 year. Maybe even 2 years. As the Blackhawks get better, it's going to take a little while. They're not all quite there either, right? So I think and also last year, to be honest, and I was told this many times by people who covered the team, he didn't really have to play defense. So he was able to sort of freewheel it more than most rookies when they come into this league too, because the team had no expectations of being good. And so that helps you get on the score sheet a little more and help you, just kind of ease in with the same game that you played in junior. So I think that was a help. But look, I mean, in Minnesota, I like Matt Boldy. I mean, he's not a superstar, but he's a heck of a player. I mean, that's a good guy to collect because I think he'll be around for a lot of years and put up consistent points. But I like Bill Guerin. Bill Guerin is a great guy, and the fact that he has tabbed Riley Height really is an interesting thing. So I went back and looked at it, and I think he was picked like, I don't know, somewhere in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked him as a first rounder. Like I ranked him 17th, just ahead of Gabe Perreault. And it's funny because the Rangers and the Islanders spoke to Riley Height, but like the Rangers, took Perreault, and Perreault's going to be terrific. But Height, just slipped through it. A lot of people were saying really, really good, nothing great. And I was just like, I really like this kid. And that's why I ranked him where he is. I mean, if he plays this year and puts up something, it's going to make me look pretty good. But it's also going to make the Wild Scouts look pretty good. And that's something where, you don't get a 19-year-old second-round pick that generally might have the chance at starting in the NHL. That's a rarity.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Sebastian Aho, but very few.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so when you're prospecting in the hockey hobby, obviously you're trying to project and you're trying to find guys that you identify with, that you chase, that you think have a lot of upside. One of the things we sort of asked you in a pre-interview are maybe a couple guys.
If I have a Matt Boldy card, is that what you're asking? I do.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I like he's a great guy. I have.
He just disappears. That's our problem with him. It's like
I think he'll get more consistent. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But we asked you, maybe for a couple guys that you think potentially could be overhyped a little bit, and maybe that should know that. And one of them was a little bit surprising to me because he's been all over the news lately after he basically forced his way out of Nashville and got traded to the Sharks, and that's Yaroslav Askarov. So what makes you think that there's a chance he's overhyped?
Well, goalie's the hardest thing to figure out, and as a draft guy, I know better. Like I know a few goalie experts. I am not one of them. Once in a while I could see someone, like I saw Marc-Andre Fleury in juniors, and I was like, this guy's a star. Like it was just obvious, right? But it's not always obvious. I loved Askarov and thought, wow, this guy is, number one goalie potential. It's been a little rocky playing for Milwaukee. So now I'm thinking, I've got to really reevaluate what I see in him. Because now, again, they got a little picky there. I think Barry Trotz didn't like that he turned over the net and things like that. Okay. Wants to have his own thing. I'm not against that. I know the ability he has, but if you look at like Samsonov, he never reached his potential. Yeah. Just never did. Mm-hmm. I think that he had like a three-wheeler accident. That ATV accident. I don't think that helped him. That was a good goalie, but he's not great. So now with Askarov, I really need to see it. And so, I'll evaluate him this year, next year, and kind of see where he's at. But I'm kind of like in the middle now. I'm like, he may have been overhyped, and maybe I was one of the guys overhyping him.
Well, Troy's the goalie coach at Minnetonka High School here.
Okay, well, that's good to reveal now.
Big premier high school in the in the United States. And one of the things
I've heard of it, but I know it's a lake in Minnetonka, right? So there's a lake everywhere.
But I'm on the girls' side, just to be honest.
Well, his goalie is
the goalie's goalie.
Yeah,
all right, we got. I mean, I think all the goalies I've worked all the goalies have went Division I from our girls program the last 5 years. So that's our claim to fame.
Oh yeah, I said that Michigan, but I realized it's Minnesota now. That was a bad.
Oh yeah, it's Minnetonka. That's all right.
So one of the things that Troy's talked about a lot is that he feels that the game right now is ahead of goalies. In that, because we've talked about like there's not like superstar goalie. There's no Dominik Hasek that is like, oh, forget scoring tonight. It's that these guys seem to be really up and down. And Troy, I'll let you explain it better than me, but I'm just kind of curious your thoughts. I don't know, Troy, if you have anything to add.
No, I think we're at a sport like Russ hit it right on the head. Goalies are better than they probably have ever been from a physical standpoint. But now Russ alluded to this earlier, bring in all the analytics, all the video. I mean, even at high school, Russ, we have iPads on the bench.
Oh yeah,
we have packages we send out, and here's all the
crazy,
video.
Right?
We have all the advanced analytics, and we see this stuff, and they're finding these like Vassy. They found the blocker loophole on it for a while.
Identify 3 people coming up in this next game and what their tendencies are for the goalie. It helps.
Yeah, and so I I think the goalies physically, they've never been bigger, they've never been better, but the advanced analytics are actually showing that they're doing a little bit worse. But it's who knows? It's a couple seasons isn't a trend.
I don't
yet.
buy 100% into analytics. I buy like 40% into it. To be fair,
Yep.
What I notice is that you could be a star goalie like Igor Shesterkin, and he's a star goalie. There's no question about it. Goalies still, like, even since I've been a kid, will have like 2 great years, 1 good year, but not a Shesterkin year, and he gets it back for the next 2-3 years, like Bob has done. Like Bob went through that, and and he wins a Stanley Cup. He's won 2 Vezina's. So I think there's a handful of like 5 or 6 really terrific, top-notch, elite goalies that deserve the big money. And then I think there's a big medium area of goalies where, you could still win a cup with one of those guys, but you got to have a lot of other things, In
Darcy Kemper's when you could win a cup with that guy. That was Darcy Kemper because I liked him for the Wild.
They barely did. He almost lost it for him. I forget what I was in one of those games where he was just bad.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I think a great example, Russ, of what you're just talking about is Sorokin, right? Where he was the model of consistency, and now after last year, everyone's like, "What happened?"
Well, we're finding out, though. I'm going to be fair now. We're finding out now that he's got some sort of injury that's lingering.
Okay.
So, and Islanders won't say because Lou Lamoriello will never tell you anything. So I don't know what that might be. Nobody can figure it out. So that maybe is something. And like Thatcher Demko is now dealing with a knee injury, right? That's apparently he's just got to deal with it, right? So when that happens, that could take you from, and you saw what Thatcher Demko was when he was on top of the world there, but now, now it gets harder. So that's, it's part of the attrition of the sport. So yeah, I just think they're used to it. I think ever since I started learning, I wrote a little bit for a goalie magazine back in the day, and I started to learn about the RVH and all that. And it's like, I don't really want to know that anymore because I think some goalies are moving away from it.
They are. It's actually, I saw a guy say in 5 to 10 years, they're not going to do it anymore because players are too dang good. They've realized where
they see the robotics of it and they know that guy's staying down now. So I'm just going to go right over him. Right over. And so they do see that. So, and I think when they started doing with the head trajectory, tracking pucks, that was a big deal. Because goalies have to be able to make saves on stuff they don't see.
The eye training they do is insane. The eye training. People don't know this. They do eye practice for like an hour where they do vision stuff.
Goalies don't like to talk about what they do off ice.
They don't like to give the hints.
They don't like to give the hints. But so I do think that all makes it very, very hard. But again, now we're in the league now where 4th liners can bury it.
Yeah.
Like,
they
look like 2nd liners from 10 years ago. So I think it all comes in play.
Yeah, and like you just need to talk to Troy whenever you need. Like he'll tell you all about the railroad and all the he's got all that down. The last guy that you said could maybe be a little bit overhyped is a guy I actually heard some good stuff on. So I'm kind of curious to get your take. Is Brant Clark for the LA Kings?
I like him. I think he's got a good hockey brain, but he hasn't been able to break through. And I maybe was one of those guys that overhyped him too because he has all the offensive ability. He's another guy that was great to interview at the showcase back in the day. Really good moving the puck up the ice. Terrific offensive defenseman, has all that down, but not much physicality. Defense hasn't come along. So, and I don't want to, besmirch guys, but if he becomes like a one-way guy, like a Tyson Barrie or something, that he's not reaching his potential. Okay. And so I think there's a chance that, he might be, a one-way guy. And if that's the case, he's not reaching his potential. We'll see. And that's why I say maybe.
One of the things that Troy and I often do on our show here is to help. Part of our goal is to educate people. Like when you'll see like rookie cards or Young Guns goes for $40 or $60. We do a player deep dive to help people understand who this guy is. And we kind of laugh at this is that every guy you look like, because we'll reference where they were drafted, then we'll pull up their scouting report. And to a T, they all have high hockey IQ. Has there ever been a guy that hasn't had high hockey IQ? What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, hockey IQ is like, hey, this guy just understands the game. He's a step ahead. Like remember how Wayne Gretzky used to draw on the TV and he knew where the puck was going to go and he knew where to be? That's that kind of person. That's the hockey IQ. There are plenty of guys that don't have hockey IQ that's off the charts. So I do think it has become like not a throwaway term, but an overused term.
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Gotcha. Yeah,
But I'll
like
give
the
you an
like,
idea. Like I'll tell you, since I've already collected him, I'll tell you who I think the biggest undervalued young gun
Ooh.
is out there.
okay, I'm listening.
Miko Rantanen.
Oh yeah, we've talked.
Yeah.
Josh has a theory on him, right? Like,
Yeah, so when you look at the hobby, and it's just how I don't know if it's the size of hockey collectors or how we tend to focus or narrow in. Most teams have like one hobby star. Very few teams have like two-ish. Like a good example would be Leon Draisaitl, who of course he's not Connor McDavid, but we've looked at his stats inside out, left, backwards, forwards. Like last 5 years in the NHL, only I think Austin Matthews has more goals. I mean, he's one of the greatest players all time, and he kind of gets the Yari Curry treatment a little bit. It's like, well, he wouldn't be good if Connor McDavid's like, I don't know if that's the case. But then almost no teams have three hobby stars. And so when you're on a team with Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, and and then you have Miko Rantanen, there's just not enough light to shine on him. And yeah, I mean him and like there's Rope Hintz, Braden Point.
I can't put him in the same category as Rantanen. I mean, Rantanen's like a guy that could score 96 to 100 points on a good year. And you look at his numbers now, he is racking them up at a very good rate where he's going to be potentially a Hall of Famer. So that's why I say and I'll give you another one that's I think is going to be a Hall of Famer. I had the young gun from a million years ago. It's Brent Burns, pre-beard, all of that.
Oh, yeah.
And that young gun's not worth a ton. Not right now, but
he's got this wild jersey, and doesn't it kind of like a glamour shot pose? Doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's one of those funny ones. Yeah.
Yeah, no beard,
Rookie photo. Yeah, well, he has like frosted tips. He looks more like in a boy band than the Grizzly Adams.
But he did a great thing. I'll tell you, he did a great thing at the NHL All-Star game when it was in Minnesota. I went to that. That was a great game. I don't know if you remember, Mark Messier actually played on a line with Jaromir Jagr. That was Messier's last All-Star game, I believe. And so, to me, I had a lot of fun. That place is great. I love the XL Center. I love the guy who greets everybody. Tremendous place. Yeah, I mean, look at that. But
special for our YouTube viewers. There it is.
That's an older young gun, and it should be worth more. It should.
Yeah.
But at any rate, at that one, he got traded during All-Star Week.
Oh, jeez, of course.
But Upper Deck had already signed and paid him to sign.
Oh, no.
He showed up.
Yeah.
He showed up. There was a massive line, and it was like his goodbye to the fans. I thought that was great.
Logan Thompson did that at the draft this year too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
this was different. Logan Thompson wasn't signed to, wasn't paid to sign with Upper Deck, and they were expecting him. And I'm sure Brett Burns didn't think he was getting traded. So he gets traded, and then all of a sudden, it's like, yeah, I got to do this autograph session. And he did. I was very, like I said, I thought that was tremendous.
Okay, I do have one more question for you, just because I know that you're a draft guy, and we already talked to you at the Rookie Showcase, and you were at the amazing draft at the Sphere this year. Is the NHL really going to Zoom drafts after that? Is that?
Yeah,
it's just unconscionable to me that they don't get marketing.
Yeah, the one thing though, the rumor is it'll be in LA, and I went to the last draft in LA, and it was really good there. They could really have a big splash in LA without doing it the way they used to do it. I mean, they're still going to have a lot of players there. I don't think they'll have as many. Certainly, everybody who they think's a first rounder, but I don't think they'll go deep. I think some players might start to shy away from going. A lot of players go now because for some of them, it's the biggest thing that ever happened to them in their life, and if they never really make it as an NHL regular, it's a tremendous honor, right? And families are there, so they might lose out on some of that, but they can make it a huge fan event still, and there's something to be said about that. So, yeah, do I like the intrigue of the GMs on the floor? And I'm on the floor, so I could give extra insight because I see what's going on tables, who's talking to everybody. Will we miss that? Sure, we will. But they can still make it a pretty good event. It's not like the NFL has that. And I think once they realize they can do it like the NFL, which I don't think is ever a good league to copy, but their draft is good. I still think the NHL draft is better because it's different. Like these guys, they're just more they're more regular guys than the football guys when they come out. Football guys come out, they all have Rolexes, diamond rings, diamond earrings, whatever.
NIL now, man, $10 million to be the
NILs.
quarterback at Alabama.
Even though the NILs are there for hockey players, only the top guys are making something, but they're not making $1 million like Peyton Manning's brother. So I still think it's more blue collar, and I like and baseball's the worst. Like they might as well not even try. Like theirs is just awful. From a collecting standpoint, there's no point.
No.
It's hard to be a baseball prospect expert because like it's the hardest of all the sports. And then they have no presentation or anything. These guys are calling from their basements. It's bad.
Do they still do 60 rounds, 61 rounds or whatever they go?
Yeah, but the NHL one I think is really good. Do I wish there was a 19-year-old draft? Yeah, because I think then from a collector standpoint, you would have a better idea of what a guy is at that point. You get that extra year in juniors or that extra year overseas. It makes a difference.
Mm-hmm. Wow, this is incredible information.
Yes.
We're gonna, we'll.
My wife doesn't think so, but I'm glad you got.
Yeah, no, it's been a treat to have you on. So if people listening and watching want to consume more of your content, read more of your stuff, where's the best spot for everyone to see what you have going on?
I mean, they can come to Glassboro, New Jersey. I'll talk to them. I'll invite them in the yard. We can have a beer. No, they catch me at sportsology.com, on Twitter at Sportsology, on Instagram at Sportsology, Threads at Sportsology, I think.
Sirius XM Radio, that's pretty cool.
Sirius XM Radio every Tuesday with Mick Kern at like 12:15-ish, we say. Sometimes it's 12:20. So that's a weekly thing. It's the world according to Russ. I didn't name it. They did. Don't that look. Off the post, we do that every week, even during the summer, because we like to talk about some other things. So the Hockey Buzz Buzzcast I'm on. EP Ringside I write for, and I'm part of their draft coverage, their draft book. That's all I write about our draftees all year. So I stay busy.
Oh, I got a question for you, Russ. I got a question. Is the best place for contract information now Puckpedia?
It is.
Because Cat Friendly went away?
Yeah, I think they're getting it. I think that the thing that Cat Friendly had that was so good was just the layout was so.
It was perfect. I love that site.
And you can't hold it against Puckpedia because they didn't know all this was going to happen all in their lap. I think they've made some nice upgrades. It is much easier to navigate.
Yes. Okay, I just want to make sure that wasn't something else that you knew about, and I'm just like out here. I go into contract stuff sometimes when we talk about things.
I'm tickled pink that the Mets are beating the Phillies 10-0.
There you go.
I'll tell you how happy I am.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it, and we'll hope to talk to you again soon.
Okay, anytime. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Troy.
All right, we're back. Thank you again to Russ for taking the time and being generous with his time and joining us on our show here. So, Troy, what did you think?
I thought it was fantastic. It was great to get his knowledge, his skill set. I think it was great that we got to kind of homer a bit, and he brought up that Minnesota Wild prospect that was that same height. I can't remember. I can't say his. And I went and actually looked at videos of him, and I was like, oh, you know what? He actually does look pretty good. We have to watch this guy, but it was great given all the knowledge and looking at those players. And then I actually got the most, most knowledge. I don't want to say enjoyment because it's kind of bad when you say it like that, but looking at Askarov, looking at Brandt Clark, and a lot of people don't go the other way. And like, why are these guys a little too much overhyped? And let's dig into that. So I really like that, and it was great to see the old pictures from the rookie showcase where he was on the ice. He didn't have anywhere he actually had a helmet on, but then eventually they wouldn't let the reporters on the ice anymore, and he had to stay in the penalty box. And now you're just off on like behind the glass, basically.
Hey, Louis, can you imagine if they would have let us on the ice?
That'd have been great.
I'd have been like, give me pads. I want to see what you can do.
He was so nice to us there, though. Like,
yeah.
When I say we were a fish out of water, it's true. We had no clue what we were doing. And, these guys are pros. This was his probably like 10 millionth experience like that.
He looked at you and it just went out. His radar went off. Like, oh my God, these people have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah. Who are these yahoos? And he could have been mean. He could have been like, oh, what are these? these guys are just acting like, these idiots doing here. And he was so kind to us and he talked to us for so long. And so
That's awesome.
really grateful for that. But what did you think of the
Yeah.
interview? What stood out to you, Louis?
Well, my biggest takeaway from it is he's seen all these new rookies. He's been following them, for a lot of their college career or overseas, and having him compare those guys to players we're excuse me, familiar with, help put where these newcomers are going to fit into play, with, what Bedard was like. He thought Bedard played like a Patrick Kane and kind of flashy, and he thinks Celebrini's, more like a Jonathan Taves guy, the all-around player, for comparisons, and just feeding us a little bit on where he feels some of these guys are going to fit on lines with the teams. I thought that was pretty sweet.
It's crazy that Russ is a guy for NHL radio that's on the floor of the draft. How do we ride his coattails onto the floor of the next draft, Louis?
Well, we got him as an expert. So we have George Ross, right? He's our CHL or WHL, CHL expert. So now we got an NHL expert. We're working on getting more experts.
Working on it. So yeah,
good guy.
And we'll have him on again too, and it'll be great to get his insight throughout the season. And I just got to throw this in there because I don't know if you guys have seen these clips in the last couple weeks, but I saw a YouTube video that had highlights from Bedard playing roller hockey this summer.
Oh yeah.
Holy smokes.
But that's another thing. I wonder if the Blackhawks go into convulsions knowing that he's doing that, because it's like, stop.
Oh, he goes hard.
Oh yeah, he doesn't mess around, and he's good. I mean, believe me, roller hockey's hard. Roller hockey is not ice hockey. I think roller hockey is harder to get into because it's not like you can stop on a dime with roller hockey. You got to learn how to shift your weight a little bit, and
Does that help your skating at all?
I wonder. It probably helps with balance, explosiveness, but I'm not sure because you can't do. There's stuff you can't do on roller skate or rollerblades that you can do on the ice, but I'm sure. I don't think it hurts you.
I mean, it's a good lower body training and exercise and strength builder, but a minimal way working on stride, it's not the same.
I just wonder if there's because of how you have to compensate for the fact that you don't have blades and being able to turn quickly or, basically adjust from not having edges, if that can help you add more kind of wrinkles to your skating a little bit. I don't know. Okay, we'll move on. New product releases time. So we're doing something different here. Yeah. We hinted last show we're going to try a new format to cover checklists going forward, and of course, the very first one is the cup because why wouldn't it work out that way?
Go big or go home.
Yeah, go big or go home. The 2022-23 cup checklist is out, and the problem that we've been having is these checklists are just massive.
Yeah,
they're huge, and there's so much information, right? And so far, our MO, our modus operandi, has been to very thoroughly go through and meander our way basically through the entire set. Number one, it takes forever. There's a million parallels. There's tons of subsets. Yeah. And for the last month or two, I've just really been reflecting if anyone, us included, can retain any of the information. Like when you go through endless information for an hour, it's like, do you remember any of it at that point? And, and I think what's missing then are the key cards that we should really care about when these sets come out. It's like I said, just so much info. And it came when Baba Louie and I were driving back from up at the cabin up north as far as, and we just kind of were having a conversation about it and sort of came up with this new idea to really kind of focus on where we're saying the cup cards you should care about and let everyone else just go. If you want all the detail, anyone can go look up the checklist themselves anyways. So kind of leave it up to people on their own to do that. So that's what we're going to do. So going forward, we're going to focus on what we think are the cards that you should care about most in any upcoming release. And then one quick note on this one too. Now, Upper Deck normally would have the product gallery published by now, so they'd have a lot more images of the cards, but they're doing something a little bit different for the cup. Apparently, they're publishing it in 3 chunks starting today, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So that means for this review, we won't have as many images of the cards as we typically show. And Troy, it's almost like they didn't consider our production schedule in that.
Yeah, no kidding. Come on, let's go.
Rude. Come on, Upper Deck. So with that being said, here's the cards you should care about in 2022-23, the Cup. Okay, so the Cup comes out on Wednesday. It's the 18th release of the Cup, which first came out in 2005-06. There are 5,073 unique cards
It's a big boy.
in 2022-23, the Cup. Now, the first cards you should care about are base set rookie patch autos. These are either out of 99 or 249. This year, there's 7 out of 99s as opposed to the traditional 6 players. So we're going to play between, it was going to be between Troy and Phil, but now between Troy and Louis. A game called Guess the 7. Can you guys, now you each, you're going to work together. This is a team game.
Okay.
You can only get one wrong answer.
Uh-oh.
Right? So you got to be on the same page. It's like Family Feud, when the family gets together and talks. So there's 7 out of 99 rookies. Can you guys name all 7?
I had to go back to 22-23 now. Jeez.
Well, I know one, Slavkovsky.
All right. Now,
Okay.
Louis, do you agree?
Yep. That was that year.
So final answer, Slavkovsky. Correct.
Yes.
You have one of the 7.
They had to put Boldy in there. Come on.
Don't look at me.
Yeah, I'll go.
I'm looking at Troy.
Yes, Boldy. Yes.
Okay. You have 2. You have 2 of the 7.
What about Owen Power? Is that his year? This is where I get so messed up. I can't remember if I get the years right.
Owen, yeah. So if it's Owen Powell, yeah. Oh, this sucks. Boldy, Power.
You guys have
Slavkovsky.
Slavkovsky and Boldy. Are you going with Power or are we not? Are we still thinking?
Go with Power. Let's go with them. Let's go with them.
It's remind you guys, we can't do this for 6 hours either. So yeah, Power. So you got 3. You're 3 for 3. You're doing good.
You're only letting us get one wrong
Here,
answer.
I'll just start yelling out names. Cole Perfetti.
No.
Well, he was 2021, so I'm gonna help you out there.
I don't know when these guys are rookies.
However,
Is that Shane Wright? Is that Shane Wright here?
so if it's Shane Wright, that's the same as Berniers then too.
No, it's not. It's got
Has to be.
then. Oh, Matty Beniers then. There, we just backed into one.
All right, Beniers, is that your final answer?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, you got 4 of the 7. There's 3 left.
Well, you got to go Shane Wright then, right? Correct, I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Shane Wright's on there.
Where are we at, Josh?
We got 4 of the 7.
Jake Sanderson.
All right, for Shane Wright and Jake Sanderson, which one are you guys going to go with?
Jake Sanderson.
1 wrong.
All right.
No, you get no more wrong before the game's over.
Okay, fine then. Was it Shane Wright?
Okay, Shane Wright.
You got 5 of the 7.
2 more.
I have no clue. I'm done. I did the guys off the top of my head. I'm done.
Give me a team.
No, I can't do that.
Why not?
You guys got to guess somebody.
Shane Pinto.
Not that year.
I'm just gonna start randomly yelling names until we end this game because
I'm trying.
I love how like people watching this or listening to this are probably screaming at their radios right now.
I'm going through teams.
Well, you're missing probably who's probably the best player right now out of this class.
Oh, not Caulfield. Oh, Wyatt Johnson.
Fair. Okay. Let's just go with it. We either
all right, you got 6 out of the 7. You got 6 out of the 7.
Oh, then okay. Johnson gave it. How about Kent? Columbus, right?
Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, he is a 2022 rookie.
You going with him? Ken Johnson?
I don't know.
Johnston.
I just threw it out there. Johnson.
Yeah, go with it.
You guys got it.
There we go.
That is unbelievable. So Matt Boldy, Matty Beniers, Kent Johnson, Owen Power, Shane Wright, Juraj Slavkovsky, and Wyatt Johnston. That's actually very impressive that you pulled that out. Didn't even cheat?
No, I did not this time. Swear on a Bible.
Well, I cheated before the show because I was staring at that Slavkovsky rookie patch.
You don't remember things that happened 10 minutes ago, so I'm not worried about that.
No.
Yeah, so there's 7 versus the traditional 6 this year. Now, if you're wondering, well, who are the biggest names that are snubs, as some people like to call it, out of the 249s? Not like I don't think there's any obvious ones. You know, some decent players like Matthias Michelli, Pyotr Kochetkov, Marco Rossi, Minnesota Wild, is out of 249. Honorary.
Is he out? I thought we got rid of him.
No, we didn't get rid of him.
Oh.
Honorary Hughesboro Jack Quinn is also 249 out of 249 RPA. Okay, so that's the first card you got to care about. Next one are Black Foil Auto Shield 101s. Now these are there's some for vets and retired legends. 29 total cards on the checklist. Here's the biggest names. There's Big Cat. You get a Shield 101. Cale Makar, Patrick Waugh, Austin Matthews, and Marc-Andre Fleury. I had to throw this in there. You can also get O'Reilly on this one too.
Why not?
Somebody's going to get that. Now, 6 of the 7 Cup RPA out of 99 players have a Black Shield Auto 1 of 1. Slavkovsky does not. So that'll make a bunch of Montreal fans probably pretty unhappy.
Yeah.
12 vets and legends have a 1 of 1 monumental patch auto booklet highlighted by Austin Matthews, Martin Brodeur, your guy, Louis,
Yep.
Mario Lemieux, Patrick Waugh, and Steve Yzerman. The rookie monumental patch booklets are all out of 6. So vets are out of 1 of 1. Rookies are out of 6. Again, 6 of the 7 out of 99 rookies have a rookie monumental patch booklet. And once again, no Juraj Slavkovsky.
Wait, he makes someone mad at Upper Deck? What happened?
Lost all of his cards he's supposed to sign. Then we talked about this in our preview. There's some really interesting dual shields. This is the next card you should care about. These are all 101s. So check this out. There's a McDavid Crosby dual shield. Have we seen something like that before? I don't know, that seems very unique to me. It's kind of cool.
I wonder, as long as there's no auto involved, then you kind of get away from Crosby being very protective of where he signs.
Yes.
So being just shields, I guess maybe we have, but I have no doubt, no clue. But it's very cool.
What about this one? Erik Karlsson and Cale Makar. Boy, Phil would be all over that one, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I was wondering if they're trying to theme, like, I mean, obviously McDavid, Crosby, great forward, like goats. Karlsson, Makar, defense. Probably the highest point producing defenseman.
Yeah. Kaprizov and Ovi.
Russian.
Yeah. Shesterkin, Sorokin.
Russian
Russian
goalies.
The one we're looking at on screen on YouTube, Brady and Matthew Tkachuk.
Bros.
These are just the ones that like stood out to me.
Yeah.
So of the 5 I mentioned, which one would you guys want the most? I think I'm really intrigued by the Kaprizov and Ovi one, just being a Wild fan.
I like that one, but I'd probably go with that because at least it's got the Wild side or the Wild player on it with Kaprizov. Now, obviously, if I want resale, David Crosby by 100 miles, but yeah, PC Kaprizov Ovi.
You could always say, "Give me the McDavid Crosby, I'll sell it, pocket $2,000, and buy the Kaprizov and Ovi one."
You could probably buy the whole set. Like I'll sell that one and buy the rest of them.
What about you, Louis? Which one intrigues you the most?
None.
Oh,
really?
Shots fired.
I just don't like the matches. I think the goalies are cool.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
Oh wow, you're not an Ovi guy?
Ovi, like Troy said, I'd take the Kaprizov Ovi just for the PC Minnesota factor, but I don't want to be that homer. I'll say this: I like what they're doing because they finally don't have 2 of the same guys matched up together as they do so often. You know, it's really an Ovi Crosby and.
Yeah, it's not Gretzky Lemieux. As amazing as those are, it's actually like interesting combinations where you have to think about it a little bit. This surprised me a little bit. So Patrick Waugh is the only retired or legendary player with the limited logos auto patch in 2022-23 the Cup.
That's interesting.
Hmm.
When
Now
are they gonna
there's.
come out with the Legends edition of the cup?
I already said that. You spoiled it. But
Oh,
we'll
did
talk
you
about it.
take? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even
Yeah.
know. Oh,
Yeah.
Same brain, I guess.
There's a 0506 rookie tribute auto patch. These are out of 10. 6 of the 7 out of 99 rookies are on it, but no Wyatt Johnston. So he's the one missing here.
Mm.
The show, which we just did a deep dive on,
Yep.
has base and autos. All base are out of 99. The autos, there's the white version, the rookies, and then black autos. So a couple highlights from white autos are Bobby Orr, Connor McDavid, Patrick Waugh, and Wayne Gretzky in a Kings jersey. The black autos highlights are McDavid, Yzerman, and Gretzky in a Rangers jersey. So you could get essentially 2 different Gretzky cards there. Rookie autos white, you have Boldy, Slafkovsky, Ken Johnson, Owen Power, Wyatt Johnston. And then rookie autos black, you have Slafkovsky and Shane Wright. Those are the 2 biggest names. Now, here's a couple kind of like additional stats before we get into other cards you should care about. I don't know how I feel about this. Actually, I do know how I feel about it, but I'll get your opinions first. Guys, there's 1,700 out of the 5,000 unique cards in the cup are printing plates.
Ooh.
That's like a third of the unique cup cards.
Would that be any set though if they include printing? Oh no, because they include all the printing plates from like Young Guns, right, in the cup.
Yeah, they include some Young Guns in years
Yeah.
past. It just feels like a lot of printing plates to me. And generally, I do like how they treat, like they make printing plates in the cup a little bit better than getting one out of like an OPG paper box
Yeah.
or something like that. But yeah, there's 620 unique update cards in the cup.
It's a lot, but I could make sense.
Yeah.
They probably still got backlog from COVID years.
And then the last kind of section that of cards you should care about would be exquisite collection. There's an 0304 tribute auto patch. So Austin Matthews, Timmy Stützle, Henrik Lundqvist are the biggest names. Lundqvist is out of 10. I think the other ones are out of 25. There's also a goal parallel 101 that has actually more players on the checklist. So like that has like Dominik Hasek, Henrik Zetterberg, and then wait for it. Now Phil's not here, so this kind of loses its luster a little bit. But Heater, yeah, Danny Heatley. Yeah. Right now, Louis, can you be Phil and like lose your mind and shake your hands and stuff again? Or
That's terrible. Can't do it. Why would
Yeah.
he even be in there? Yeah.
he's a scourge to society.
He's a horrible person.
Yeah.
Terrible human being. Ah.
All right. There's also 0304 limited logos for both rookies and vets. Highlights include Matt Boldy, Brady Tkachuk, Slafkovsky, Beniers, Owen Power, Shane Wright, and Wyatt Johnston. So these are pretty cool looking. Definitely like those.
What's that
Big
patch from?
That's gotta be. Gotta,
This is not the cell sheet. I don't think that's a real patch.
yeah, those are cell sheet ones. So they
Or
just
shoulder patch or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, because if that's it, that's terrible.
No, I don't
So-
think that's it.
Okay, thank goodness.
Splendor cards also make an appearance in 2022-23 the Cup. There's rookie auto patches out of 49 with some big names and some other Splendor cards too. Do you guys like Splendor in the Cup? Would you be excited to buy a box of the Cup for what, $900, $1,000, and then get your big card being a Splendor card?
No, but for as many of the boxes as I've seen open and people get nothing, I'll take it.
I'm just saying too. Of course, like a Wayne Gretzky Splendor, anyone will take. But what if it's a
Anybody else?
no name? Yeah, just like a no-name Splendor card versus a no-name Cup card. Does that bother you much? What about you, Troy?
I don't know. I mean, if it's a cool design, I guess it is what it is, right? You're stuck with it. So I yes, I don't really want that, but if I get it, it is what it is.
All right, so that kind of covers, in our opinion, the cards you should care about the most. Had the gallery been up and we had better pictures, would have loved that more for YouTube. But I want to talk a little bit about what's missing. And someone had made this point in Discord. and I forget who, so I'm sorry about that. But it's like, where are all the legends? Of course, we have a few Gretzky, Hasek, Patrick Waugh, Mario Lemieux cards, and Yzerman like we do in every cup. But would love to see more like the recent legends, especially more Timu, Pavel Bure, Pavel Datsyuk, Jaromir Jagr, Joe Sakic, Lindros, all those other guys, and then even the older guys too. And Troy, to your point a few minutes ago, in thinking about that, and we've kind of been noodling for ever since SP Legends came out. Like, what would a great follow up be? The Cup Legends would be bananas.
They have to be working on something because SP Legend Signature Edition, whatever it's called, the name of that thing was a complete hit. I mean, it's sold out everywhere. If you can find a box, it's to the moon. That set hit every nostalgic feel. So I gotta believe they saw that and they're working on some other things.
I'm gonna try to speak for you for a second because I think, and you'll correct me if you're not vibing with me here, but I don't know if either of us would ever buy just a regular old tin of the cup just because the risk reward probably doesn't work as much as I would love to open it. I think we'd both be in on Cup Legends, regardless of the risk reward.
I'll cash in a 401k to buy Cup Legends.
What about you, Baba Louie? Do you like the idea of like a Cup Legends?
Yeah, I think it should be included in this.
Yeah, I'm talking about like specific set that's only Legends, so you don't have to worry about getting.
No.
Now you get like your Gilles Melange, right? You're kind of like fringe, regional.
Tony Twist, your Doug Gilmore, all those guys.
No, that'd be cool. I'd do it.
Do it.
All right,
do it. We do it. Do it now.
Oh,
give us credit. All right,
Statue
here's what to
Legends.
expect.
Statue Legends.
Just stature would be good at this point, Troy.
Oh, don't bring it up.
yeah.
No,
You brought it up. What do you mean?
I was saying Legends. I wasn't talking about the current set. That somehow has not been.
Well, if they can't make the current, they're not going to be able to make the Legend. No, you're faulty logic here. All right, here's what to expect in a tin of 2022-23 the Cup. If you decide to purchase one or go into breaks, you get one rookie autograph patch auto per box, one base set card number to 249, and then whatever else you get. You could get any of the cards we talked about. So, those are the only kind of two givens that you're guaranteed in a box. So for the next few days, you can still pre-order. And here in the U.S. at David Adams, it's going for $930 US a box. Now, 2021-22, the Cup debuted at $1,100 US, so this is about 15% less starting this one. And in Canada, it was a little harder for me to find pre-orders. I did find an active pre-order at Klutzenchara for 1,100 Canadian. That's about 890 US, so a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
In Canada, like always. Okay, so here's a question for you guys. Knowing that the Cup is the biggest set in hockey, the most chased hockey set, what do you think is going to have a bigger hobby impact in the next few months? This 2022-23, the Cup that's coming out, or 2023 OPG Platinum with Bedard rookies that comes out a week after?
I'm going with Platinum.
I will go with Platinum 100%. I think 23-24 Platinum, just because of the Bedard chase, has more hobby impact. Like we've said this before, we talked about this before the show. The Cup is going to be a breaking product. I swear. I think that's where you're going to see all the people going after the Cup. Like, well, I don't know what percentage. We'll just say a lot more are probably going to like join breaks instead of going buying cases and boxes of it.
Yep.
But I think from a hobbyist, a collector, that OPG Platinum will have more of an impact.
I kind of do too.
Well, plus we have 22-23, even though when you start looking at the rookies, they're not that bad. But remember, 22-23 is the class where it's like, oh my God, like 6 months ago, or like, oh, these products, how are they going to sell them? Because
it's kind of the class of the sophomore slump. That's been the problem with it. And if they all come back this year, it could change everything pretty dramatically.
And those people that are loaded up would be like sitting pretty.
Right.
Now, what did you guys think of the Upper Deck's big announcement on their Lucky Sevens box? So what they did, if you didn't see it, is they set aside I think a big reason why I'm connecting some dots here, but remember, instead of the traditional 6 out of 99 rookie patch autos, they went to 7. I think originally they did that because they do these sets so far in advance, and I'm sure they had all 6 done before Wyatt Johnston really emerged as maybe the best player out of this class, and they wanted to find a way to get them into the out of 99s. Then what they did is they took all 7 and are going to have created a special tin that instead of 6 cup cards, you're going to get 7. Each of those 7 cards will be one of the 7 out of 99 rookie patch autos. All 7 of those will be numbered 7 out of 99. So I think it's going like the lucky 7s sort of brand there. What were you guys' thoughts on that? Troy, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so let's be honest, the God Box is nothing new.
Mm-hmm.
This has been done by previous like Tops, Fanatics. It's nothing new, but I do like actually having kind of a marketing for it with the 7s and making it the number 7 serial card number. I think that's kind of cool. It's something that I don't think Upper Deck's ever done before. So from that perspective, it's cool. And I'm hoping this, even though it's something that a previous company has done, I'm hoping this leads to more like innovation things like this. I think it's really cool watching videos where people do get these God boxes, we'll call them, and it's really fun to see. Now, the problem with this one, I think, is we've talked about this off air, maybe on air. When this gets hit by, if it gets hit by a breaker, there's going to be people complaining to no end, and that's just the nature of the industry we're in.
So when I talked to Billy over at Upper Deck about this, I had him explain to me how they were going to make sure that they don't know where it is.
Yeah.
And he went through the whole process. I kind of forgot, so I'm sure he wouldn't want like exactly how it works. But I do remember he had me convinced by the end of it that he literally has no clue. Like they have no clue where this is. So it could end up in a breaker. It could end up anywhere.
Yeah.
Like they took a lot of steps to completely randomize where this box ended up, and kind of like, they basically put it like in a huge pile of all the other, and then they get like all like mixed up, and so that they kind of have no idea where it is.
Yeah, I mean that's all you can ask. I mean,
yeah,
just please don't like funnel it to someone with 1 million views on. Like, just gotta make sure it's all fair.
I like it because when you look at like if I'm in Upper Deck marketing and you have 2022, 23 the Cup, the rookie class is nowhere near as compelling as all the 2023 sets out now, and I'm asking myself as a marketer, what's the chase? Why buy this?
Mm-hmm.
It's not because, unfortunately, Matty Beniers right now, because he had such a big step backwards last year. Even though, again, that could change a couple months from now, it could be a totally different story. So I think this gives you a talking point. It gives you that chase. It gives you that something to reference when, as far as like, what the lottery fantasy could be with this. And so I think it's smart in that regards. What was your take on this, Baba Louie?
I think the idea is great. I mean, yes, it's happened. We've had, like Troy said, these God boxes before. I just really, really want this to end up in the hands of somebody that bought the box and not in a break. I want somebody to have all 7 of these cards.
But if you go off like what Troy said, that this is really a breaking product, and who buys individual boxes of the Cup, it's probably not real likely that will happen.
No. And I agree with you, but I just want somebody to have all 7, not do a team break with the Cup, and then all 7 of them get, shot off in different directions. I want somebody to get it and have that stack of those cards all together.
All right. Well, that concludes our recap of the. Was this better, guys, or no? Did it seem less?
It was, but I wish that the gallery was released. That's the only thing. But we have no control over that. That's
platinum will be maybe the big test.
No, I'll tell you. And I didn't say this when we were going over why the change, but I mean, there's been times I've listened to our show during those checklists, and whether it's you or me, where I've kind of just checked out because it's like, I can't even listen to this anymore.
Oh, halfway time going through it, I hate myself. It's like, this is horrible. And when it's your own show and you're doing that, it's not good. So we'll keep refining and getting better, because we want to make these compelling and interesting and get people the best information. All right. We just took a little pause to talk out and immediately start recording what's going on in your house, Troy.
I think that was mine, actually.
Louis. I'm like, that wasn't me. I was like,
that was. It's like a whale giving birth at your house, Louis, or what's happening?
I think, have you ever seen that meme that they make? The sounds your kids make while they're playing video games, that Ron Burgundy thing. I think that's what's going on upstairs right now. Gavin's gaming.
Oh, that's hilarious. And
great timing.
It's always that perfect timing, right? We've literally been on a pause for like 10 minutes and instantly, sorry, Troy, I didn't mean to blame you. But okay, we're gonna make a mention for Gongshow partner and sponsor or Fanatics Collect. Of course, we're very grateful for their support of our show. Only a few days left to get your bid in on the September premiere auction. Have an opportunity to own one of the 3 hobby grails in the auction. A 2019 Austin Matthews a Cup Shield Auto 101. Pretty nice card. 1985 OPG Mario Lemieux Rookie SGC 10. And of course, the 2015 Exquisite Collection Connor McDavid 03 Tribute RPA Gold Spectrum out of 5. Ooh, that McDavid's getting some action, huh? 26,000 already?
26,500.
That's huge.
That is a big, big card.
Phil!
Cannot wait to see where these end up. Yeah. Well, doubt that. The Buy Now Marketplace keeps growing, guys. Up to 4,700 cards to choose from right now. Remember, too, any card that you list and sells for under 120 US dollars, you only pay a 6% seller fee, which is a fantastic deal on some of those lower end cards. And then finally, the Fanatics Collect weekly auctions are heating up too as we get closer and closer to the 2024-25 NHL season. More cards, more exciting cards. Weekly auction number 140 is live, so head to fanaticscollect.com to check out all the options available to bid on this week. We'll highlight our favorites on Thursday's show, like we always do. And then be sure to tune in to Jeremy Lee and myself on most Sunday nights for our Fanatics Collect weekly auction hockey watch party.
Oh boy,
you got it.
Now you know how I felt when I did for the first 150 shows trying to read the intro. I'd be like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. What's that and the PHWA? Let's tie me up today. Our Fanatics Collect weekly auction hockey watch party is on Sundays at 8:30 Central Time on the Sports Cards Live YouTube channel. Mailbag, kind of a quick mailbag today. That's fine. We've had monster ones, and this is.
I won't complain. It was
all right.
Good to get a short one.
All right, we're gonna start with fan mail. Hannah from Vancouver. He says, as 2022-23 Parker's Champion prices drop, do you see Upper Deck continuing to make Parker's Champions past the already announced 2023-24 release? What do you think, Troy?
Well, he makes a good point. It has dropped. And I could talk about it in my personal pickups, but I got some boxes for pretty cheap. So I'm curious if I wonder what, sorry, I have a dog barking in the background. If anyone can hear that, it's decided that I started to talk and now it's going to chime in. But here's my deal. 23-24 Parker's Champions. We know it's been announced. I think the sell sheet's out even.
Yep.
I really hope they keep making it after this second release. They definitely need to do innovations. I know they're doing the 52 retros this time around instead of the 51s. Now it's 52s.
Yeah.
Well, they have some built-in stuff going forward if they want to keep producing it and then using the previous 53, 54 designs. But again, if it doesn't sell, then you're not going to keep doing it just because. But it's one of those products. I think it can get more traction too because it's on card autos, it's cheap, and it's got game use patches. I mean, what else do you want? For now, I mean, in the US, they're like 65 to 70 US a box for that kind of product. So I think they'll keep making it.
Yeah, me too. Well, they better. I love it.
Oh, you hear that, Upper Deck? You better.
You better.
Baba Louie says you got to make it.
Only Legend products from now on. Even though Parker Champions is not a Legends product. It has Legends in it, but
I think you got to give sets like 3-4 years. I think
sure.
a lot, as amazing as Allure is now, the first 2 years, 2019 and 2020, let's be honest,
no,
don't hold a candle to how nice it is now.
Even first year stature was kind of like, oh, what's going on here? And then I think that second year was like, bam, they hit it.
So I'm fully on board with your assessment that Parker's needs innovation. Where I really think it needs the innovation is, and if I like give my assessment of 2022, like the first set, is the inserts. I don't think the inserts were that great.
No.
Yeah, we kind of laughed at the banana cream pie, and
Those are back. The wire images, I think those are back
Yeah.
again.
and the die cuts were okay, but there just wasn't like a big insert chase.
Yeah.
And so if you put a little more effort into the inserts, I think that, well, effort's a bad word because
Yeah, effort's not the right word, but it's got to hit, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you got all these ideas, and
you just got to
not-
keep experimenting on the
Yeah.
insert
Mhm.
side because I'm sorry I mentioned effort because I'm sure they try very hard in everything that they do. So I think we're all in agreement that we hope it continues to be produced and would like to see it evolve. Next one, Discord. Let's get bedarded. What do you think sites like Burbank moving their cards to Fanatics will do for pricing of low to mid-range cards on eBay? Had you guys seen that news, that the deal that they signed with Fanatics?
I did. They just basically they're taking all their cards off of eBay and putting them on Fanatics Buy It Now platform, right? Is that how?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
What do you think Fanatics gave them to do that?
that's what I think. There has to be an incentive for them to do it.
100%.
Plus, I mean, maybe it's even just cheaper fees. Like, I mean, they don't have to pay. Yeah, I don't know at their level for how much they're selling on eBay, what their fees were, what they probably very low compared to like an individual seller. But yeah, Fanatics definitely had to put out some money to get them over. And I read an interview with that. What's his name? Shoot, I can't remember his name.
Rob from
Is it
Burbank?
Rob? And I saw him at the Burbank Card Show 2 years ago. He seems like a great guy and like very involved in everything. He was hanging out at the back of the line. That was like forever long talking to people. But
Mhm.
he actually brought it up in this interview. I said it's like it was very hard for them to leave eBay because he said eBay helped them immensely when they were first starting out. Like things they would do help them. And you remember that stuff. But again, it's a business and money talks. And I guess now is the right time.
Well, it also gives you an insight as to how big businesses and
Yeah.
Fanatics is a big bit have to operate.
Yes.
If you're a Fanatics and you want to have a fixed price marketplace like they're Buy Now, they can't afford because for it to be a meaningful source of revenue, to let it grow a couple hundred cards a week.
20
you have to
million
make-
cards.
you have to, and that's why big companies don't
Yeah.
typically do startups. They buy existing companies because
Yeah.
you have to add instant revenue to it. And so this is a move indicative of what a big company does, is that they say, okay, we have this fixed price marketplace. It's not where we want it to be. We don't want to wait 4 years for it to grow naturally. How do we inject it right now with a massive influx of cards? Oh, let's do it. Let's find like a Burbank that
Yep.
has millions upon millions of cards and do it that way. So it's very, very smart from Fanatics' perspective, and it should make it. And what do we say too, right? We want competition.
Yep.
I don't know if this is enough to make it feel like eBay has a competitor, but that would be kind of interesting if that was the end result, wouldn't
Yeah.
it?
I mean, it's interesting that you're dead on because, I mean, Burbank, 20 million cards is their inventory, which is insane. If I remember right, if I saw it right. I think that's right.
Anything to add, Baba Louie?
No, I'm excited to see how the move goes, though.
That was another Baba Louie Hobby hot take.
Got it in.
I thought we were going to get through the whole show with that one. I was getting mad. I was actively looking for spots to do it.
I thought we missed last show, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fell asleep at the wheel. All right. That was a great question. All right, next one, Instagram, Schwab's Hockey Cards. I know you've discussed on the show, but is there a guide to getting a card signed in person? Like the best marker, best card stock, etc., even if there's someone with experience to ask? I don't know if there's a guide, but the process that we've lived is our good buddy Neil, Irish Fires collector, is a big Sean Couturier guy, and he's gone to get cards signed by him in person multiple times. And he has like typically very specific cards that he wants to get signed. And what he'll do is he won't buy that card. He'll buy base cards or the same, the 5-cent versions, and he'll buy a bunch of markers and he'll do tests. And it's so smart because and he showed us before, like, here's like the 10 different markers that I have to choose from. Which ones do you guys like best? And there's a big difference in how some of these signatures could look. He'll probably just sign his own name or something like that. But I think Schwab's it's not necessarily, I don't know if that's a guide, but it's more of a process that I think that I would recommend to anyone who wants to do that, is find that specific card in the cheapest version possible and just test out a whole bunch of different markers on it.
Yep. That's exactly what Neil did.
Mhm. Okay, Discord, Sebastian Engelhardt. He says, what is the card you pulled from a pack that surprised you the most? Maybe you didn't think you would like the set or player design, but ended up being a huge fan after having it in hand. You had an answer here, Troy?
Well, so I thought I would like them, but it really surprised me. It was doubloons out of Allure. I pulled one of those out of the 23-24, and I was like, wow, these are really, really cool. And they're super hard to hit. And I didn't understand how cool they looked in person. Plus, a lot of the 90s stuff when you see in person is really cool, but I don't pull a lot of those out of packs.
I'm going to agree with you, because I don't know if I had seen the doubloons before I pulled one recently too, and I didn't realize how thick they were or how nice like the gloss was. And so I'm really trying to think of another example.
Another one, it's not a high-end card. Some people hate them. They're a fever dream, but pageantries I thought were really unique in hand versus what I saw in pictures. They're like, I don't know what you call them. They're not lightning bolts, but man, it's something going on in that background. They're kind of crazy.
I like the second year pageantries better than the first year, where actually, and this is going to sound crazy, but I'm still, last year's Allure base cards.
Good. Yeah.
I couldn't believe that, how nice they were and even this year's too are pretty nice. But Louis, do you have a card that you can recall pulling out of a pack that you were surprised how nice it was?
I kind of like those, I think it was out of Extended, is the Seeing Red.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, those are cool.
Those ones. It was between that and I did open, what the heck did they come out of? The Flammable. Those are kind of cool.
Oh, Synergy? Yeah.
Synergy Flammable.
I like those too.
You know what? I would even throw Outburst Silver and Red on this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure.
When the first time you hit those, you're just like, whoa, these are cool. Like, I saw the pictures, but didn't realize how cool they were until you got them.
Good one. See, we think on it a little bit and they just start flowing. Here's the next question I love, is from Instagram, Mr. Gretzky9966. What are the best players to collect from 2000 to 2010 that won't break the bank? Ooh. So this falls like right in my wheelhouse. This is exactly what's been my zig from the Bedardapalooza zag. This whole year, because I knew I just didn't want to like chase like cards that are thousands of dollars, not knowing as much as I'm into Bedard, but it's just too risky for me. And so this is the era like I'm completely obsessed with right now. And there's such great players, and it's an amazing era especially the early 2000s, because you still have the 90s guys whose careers were just finishing up. And then you've got like Pavel Datsyuk and Marc-Andre Fleury, some of like the early 2000 rookies as well. And so like the Pacific Titanium sets where you can get Yager, Timu, Mario, some Gretzky cards. Like I mentioned, Pavel Bure, Pavel Datsyuk, Patrick Waugh, Martin Brodeur. Just tons and tons of great cards in there. And so, and then there's like the Topps Chrome, OPG Chrome refractors, around that time as well. Some of the late 90s too. But it's like 2000, 2001, and 2000 to probably 2003. There's some really awesome sets that if you like kind of like the shiny cards like I do, and you can find just some pretty awesome cards.
So here's I'll go to his question when he talks about players. I'm going to read you the top 10 point getters from 2000 to 2009, and then you think to yourself, what any of these guys unattainable from a value perspective? Here's what we got: Joe Thornton, Jerome McGinley, Daniel Alfredson, Marian Hossa, Martin St. Louis, Vincent Lecavalier, Ilya Kovalchuk, Yager, Brad Richards, Danny Heatley. That's the top 10 point producers in that decade.
Wow.
maybe Yager's the unattained. Like he'll have
Yeah.
high stuff will cost a lot, like high end stuff. But the rest of them, I mean, you can probably find some great cards of those guys.
But even the Yonkers don't break the bank. I mean, I've
True,
been buying the
true.
Temus
Oh,
and the
Yeah,
and like a lot of those, like I keep going back to, but there's a number sets like the Pacific Titaniums. They're all numbered like
Yeah.
199, and you can get like a really nice card for $30-$40. Louis, you've been buying some Madonos from that era too.
I've been buying Madonos and grabbing some Gaboricks, right, Troy? You got some Koivus you can
Yeah.
grab in there that aren't gonna. They're still great cards.
All right, we'll move on. Instagram, Knucklehead 36. He says, how many spots are left in the Patreon out of 199? 28. I actually went and looked it up. We're getting close to the end, gosh. We're gonna have to put it like 299 or something like that.
I don't know.
And then he says, and then he has another, like, not so much question, but idea. He says, idea for the show: get a slab from each major grading company and test their durability. And this one had me scratching my head a little bit because is durability a big issue with slabs? Like, I was having a lot of like fun.
Or was he saying
Like-
crack them? Try to crack them and see which one's the hardest. Is that what he gets getting at?
Or are we trying to like shoot them, see if they're bulletproof, or like run them over with?
I think it'd be
Babalu's monster
hilarious
truck,
trying
or
to
what?
watch us all crack one open.
Yeah.
Because the trick is you got to put it in a plastic bag. That's what I read. You got to put them in a bag and then cut them so the little plastic shards don't shatter all over the
Oh.
place.
But as I
But
was
yeah.
thinking about like slabs though, and anything related to durability, I think to me, and this might just be my own personal opinion, but it's scratch resistant is probably the biggest issue. The thing that I would
Yeah.
most be
We
interested
can do
to
that. I
learn.
can take like a knife, or Josh, you have all your loose diamonds laying around your house.
Yeah.
Just get some out and try to scratch them off and see what we can do. I would love.
I didn't want to. I wanted to keep my burgeoning diamond business separate.
Yeah, fire. We could try like get matches or something and try to.
You're the one that we joke about being loaded on this show, so don't even put that on me. But it is a good idea though. We should do some sort of like grading comparison.
let's
So I
do
really
it.
appreciate Knucklehead 36 joining on that. Well, those
What
are the
am I gonna?
questions.
What are you gonna wreck? I gotta look for something that.
I got some cards. I got some slabs we can test.
Oh yeah, you can find slabs that are cheap. All right, personal pickups. Troy, you got
All right.
something.
I
Amazing.
did. Went to the Minnesota Card Show. Found the table that was selling the cheap wax. So I loaded up. Hopefully they weren't scanned through a CT scan or anything. But this point,
I don't think that they're scanning that
yeah.
level.
Yeah. So here's what I got: 1 box of Parker's Champions,
Ever heard of
2
it?
boxes of 21-22 ice. Remember, this is the bonus pack set.
Ice,
and any-
ice, baby.
Yeah, and any autos are on card, so that's a,
Yep.
a bonus. And then 3 21-22 OPC paper boxes. So I got 6 boxes for a grand total of $300 US, so $50 a box. I think that's a win, and I took it, and I'm going to save them all for the expo for ripping.
Baba Louie.
I got one in the mail finally, so now I can share it so Phil doesn't get mad. Troy's favorite first year 2019-20 stature, Mike Modano auto red out of 35.
So you can live with the Dallas jersey. That's you haven't done that distinction yet, where I get angry at this card. I look at it and I get angry.
And you're right, but I do chase down my star autos, but I love stature, love his auto. I mean, there's only so many North Stars ones to find. I gotta
Mhm.
suck it up at some point, I guess.
How big was the A on those jerseys? Holy
That's
moly.
huge.
And for the big issue of 2019 stature was the bubbling autos. So
Yeah,
that
bubbling
one's
autos.
amazing.
Yeah, I haven't had a bad one yet. I got 3.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, I had referenced finding, for me, a diamond in the rough card at the Minnesota Card Show. I was able to find this 1996 Select Certified Timu Solani.
Salami, yes.
Timu Salami!
Somebody's hungry.
And Tony Pepperoni. This 1996 Select Certified Timu Solani Mirror Gold. It's raw. It's still got the protective film on it, which
Yep.
I don't love that part. The card is like super nice, like very. I'm not a judge of, like if it's a PSA 10 or anything like that, but very, very nice. These are hard to get. The pack odds for any mirror goals are 1 in 300 in 1996 select hockey. So very, very excited. And again, not at a show where if there's any hockey, you expect it to be like a Marco Rossi Young Guns or something like that. To see this in a case, I couldn't pass it up. And I actually offered it at first to Jeremy Lee because he was his guy. And I thought I would be nice. And then I was like crossing my fingers the whole time he would say no. And he passed. And so I'm like, sweet. I'll take
You
it.
said that was in a case. You weren't box diving for that?
It was more than $100.
Okay.
Yeah, it was at the table I was talking about, right? The one with the lot.
Yeah,
of
the
good
guys
hockey.
that had like probably the best cases.
Okay.
Yeah, really great guys too.
Cool.
And they had some really nice cards there. They had like a Gretzky Seismic Gold, the one I already have, and the Campbell All-Star jersey, and some other really cool cards that. But this is the one that spoke to me the most. So,
Nice card.
well, there you go. If you like the episode, please leave a rating, review on Apple, Spotify, whatever podcast app you listen to us on. If you love the show, you want to support us, you want to chat with us on the Hockey Cards Gongshow Discord server, please consider a $5 a month donation. Join our one of 28 final spots in the out of $199 support level tier on Patreon. Link is in the show description of both podcast apps and YouTube. In our Instagram and TikTok profile, you can go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, click on the Become a Patron link at the top of the page, or just go to the Patreon website directly, P-A-T-R. How would I not know how to spell Patreon at this point? I don't think I think it's the number. I'm falling apart. Patreon.com, and then search for Hockey Cards Gong Show. We're on social media. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And boys, the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast is a production of Dollar Box Ventures LLC. Have an awesome start to your week. We'll be back on Thursday. All right, Louie.
Bye.